So we couldn't hear you.
Ndio ufungue kitu kama ile alikuwa anataka. Kuna uzito alikuwa anahitaji, but hii uzito hakuwa nayo. So the only way angepata hii uzito ni kuleta partner on board, na hawa partner wenye walikuwa wanafanyaga hizi shughuli for other people walikuwa ni Wahindi. Ukiwa na Mhindi anakuja na capital kidogo, anakuja mpaka na
space is not as safe as he imagines it is, because it is these same residents that stormed the governor's offices not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken. So wherever he goes, the reception is not as robust or receptive as he would like it to be. So we should not be fooled when such pronouncements are made. The lukewarm response that he received indicates that revolution has seeped into every corner of this country. That's what I was trying to say.
Thank you so much, and thanks for your submission, and really for also coming on board to share with us, and for being on the ground to walk around with the.
Not even I can't hear you.
Okay.
I don't know what is happening.
Can anyone hear me?
I can hear you, Maj. I think the problem is with Hillary's mic.
Okay, but Hillary.
I can hear everybody, but I can't hear Maj. It means that Maj has a problem, but no worries.
Okay, I can try. Let me cue somebody else, then I try to drop and come back. Okay, so now that was Rokio, and over to you. 2 minutes, please. Rokio, can you hear us?
Rokio Kari.
Then we go to Prof.
Rokio Kari, are you here? Maybe
there was an Honorable Nyeko.
Honorable Nyeko, go ahead. Then we go to our speakers again.
Prof.
Yes. Good evening, comrade. Am I clear?
Yes, proceed. Proceed.
Yeah.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Can you guys hear him? I cannot hear him.
Kingsman, who is speaking?
Okay, Neto, can you hear the speaker?
No, I'm not able to hear him.
Okay.
Thanks much.
Yeah, welcome. So, Prof. Obert, kindly proceed. I think the speaker dropped. I cannot even see him. Prof, please proceed, and then Neto is going to be next.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. And this is a beautiful space. I'll be following this. I want to really thank Muger and then Hillary, Kings, and everybody.
Okay, he dropped.
He has dropped as well, so I think Neto can go.
Thank you very much. First of all, Mike, thank you so much for the mic, and apologies. I think I logged in at 7:15, but for some strange reason, I was invisible until like 1.5 hours ago. My apologies. I did apologize for joining in late, but I was on then at 7:15. Second is I'd like to pass my condolences to the fallen comrades over the past couple of weeks. It's sad that we continuously lose people to a trigger-happy regime, but I hope that Kenyans will be able to overcome. The third thing is I'd like to really thank Kenya's diaspora, for the support that you've been giving. I mean, I've just listened to one of the speakers here speak about the support that the Kenyan diaspora has been giving, and I really think that part of the things that we must push when we take over the next government is, we need to have a proper foreign policy that is really Kenyan diaspora looking, to really make sure the diaspora pillar in Kenya's foreign policy is something else that is fairly very solid. Having said those opening remarks, I'll speak 3 points and then support General Biguna with his permission in answering ups that I hope I can then support in answering. Number one, listening to President Ruto today in Bomet, I was more than ever convinced that this regime is fallen. His regime is collapsed, and if at all you saw his body language, it's someone who is generally cornered, and he has no more space, and unlike what my colleague Joe Richard said, that he went to what he thought was safe space. He is like a cat, cornered in a corner, and so I really think that the regime is falling first, and in terms of when is what we really need to anticipate that it is falling is beyond. Is very clear right now. I mean, from his remarks and from how he reacted today. But the second thing I'd like to say is that, the president did surpass himself in the past week by just doing very horrendous things, things that are completely unimaginable. He has given us, 4 pressure points, which is actually what I want to stress, because then I'm sure my colleagues are going to speak on other things. By giving us a completely crazy group of cabinet secretaries, people he had asked while dismissed, he provides 4 chances for Kenyans to reorganize properly. Number one, during the approval hearings of these particular, because there are going to be like 3 or 4 stages before the cabinet secretaries actually, then if at all the regime is still on, there will be 4 categories or 4 steps for them to be approved. Number one is the first approval hearings of the committee, the appointment committee of Parliament. That's a space where we can really, of course, again, try have another chance at occupying Parliament and really bring down the regime in terms of showing how the people, some people have mentioned a couple of ministers who have been brought back, who have been engaged in crazy corruption, theft, plunder, and, and that's, it's going to be the whole world how untidy this particular regime has been in terms of, when we highlight the theft and corruption. But of course, giving Kenyans another chance to occupy these places and keeping on the pressure. The second chance, of course, is going to be when, Parliament tries to vet these people. Should Parliament be such crazy to even try and want to vet these Kenyans? That particular day is going to be a chance, for Kenyans to sit down and really go back to Parliament, now this time properly, in a way that Parliament will never forget. The third chance, of course, which, part of the things that a political party that I'm part of, the United Green Movement Party, will be being caught, to try and petition if the president really can, within the constitution, really choose or bring back people who are he has dismissed from cabinet, because the constitution really stipulates that once a state officer has been dismissed, then they become disqualified for office. So the United Green Movement Party and a few other people have been called from tomorrow to really petition and ask the High Court if it's possible, even before we vet whether they are thieves or not thieves, if someone who has been dismissed can then still qualify for office. But the last pressure point we have in what President Ruto did hand over to us is the day he tries to swear in this group of cabinet at Parliament. That would be a classical chance, the best chance. You have all of them at State House. The swearing in is taking place, and that will be really, really a good chance to organize some things around the State House. But having said that, he has given us a couple of pressure points which I will over. I'd like to say a third thing that I really like when I had General Miguna speak to. I think we need unity of purpose. We need a convergence of minds right now. Of course, there are various voices speaking out there, but the best way to deal with nations when we get out of something like what we are just about to get out of, we will be in a revolution. If we do not have a broad coalition of forces, if we do not have a broad coalition of different ideas or different thoughts, then, Kenya, then points I wanted to make. Now, I want to try and help General with his permission and other speakers to answer a couple of things. I think in the occupation of JKIA, and General has said very well, yes, it's a good point to do, but let us also, in tactical war, of course, you go for, military objectives, strategically military objectives. So there must be strategic points. So, JKIA, of course, is a strategic point. But again, we must always keep the focus. And General, I think, highlighted very well. The parliamentary square where there's parliament, the offices of government, the offices of the judiciary, that becomes a perfect place to occupy in terms of how we move forward. So yes, whereas it's possible and good thing to try and engage in places that makes the government feel the pain, like JKIA, Mombasa, like I had someone say, at the airport, it's important to keep the focus in, where the government is installed. And that's why Parliament, the Supreme Court, State House and such other places then become strategic places with regard to how to occupy. And of course, some comment that was made, a gentleman in Nakuru having been frustrated, and Maj and General Miguna did speak to it, a gentleman in Nakuru who has been frustrated that police are brutalizing. The only reason why we find legitimacy is because of the Article 37 provision of the Constitution. We should always be peaceful and unarmed, to protest. If the moment you pick up arms, you then, of course, degenerate in something else, and that, of course, will be a different ballgame. So we must always ensure ensure that we abide by the provisions of Article 37, which is peacefully and unarmed to petition the various authority. I'd like to speak to the last two. The first one is with regard to a comment that was made on the two-third gender rule principle and amendment. So yes, it is important that there are a couple of constitutional amendments that need to take place. But I think what General was speaking to was more that we should avoid right now. What is pressing is not really the constitutional, the two-third gender rule constitutional amendment. At least not for now, until we get this particular regime out of power. But it is true, and it will be important that the two-third gender constitutional principle needs to be enacted. Should we then able to realize the aspirations of the constitution? So yes, it's an important thing that needs to be done. Just that in the manner of sequencing, it is not that is pressing right now and also urgent. By the way, again, the two-third gender principle is what gives us a chance actually to dissolve this parliament and also to dissolve to make sure that Ruto goes home, because you remember that particular advisory that was given by Justice Maraga pursuant to Article 261(7) of the Constitution. So using the provisions actually the two-third gender rule that the gentleman raised, it is also possible to actually send this particular parliament home, and consequently, of course, the presidency and all of the elections subsequently. So yes, in the long term, is no to constitutional amendments. Lastly, in terms of this particular sector, I'd like to see someone actually talked about to suppress voter registration or voter registration. I really think that what is important in the voter registration process is the nomination and establishment of the IEBC. So whatever we can take, part of the demands that we must make in the next couple of weeks, as we say, Ruto must go, we must also ensure that the IEBC then is in place to make sure that all these Gen Zs who are in the streets participate in the next general election whenever it is held, so that at least their voices is not just heard by manner of the protest, but also in terms of the vote. So what is important is the IEBC. Let's keep the focus, let's push that and make sure that, before this regime goes home, if at all it takes too long, we must have an IEBC in place so that at least we help us to take Kenya back to constitutionality. Thank you very much, Maj, and I'm happy to support whenever I called upon in the next couple of hours. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Neto. Thank you, Neto, for your submissions. I think what I like to make a rejoinder on is what he purported about, the president had already gazetted on why he fired all his cabinet secretaries. My question to him, also to Daktari, because initially we had said that we need a multi. We can ensure that we are giving this government, we are giving them hell in terms of operations. Because if indeed he found that these people are not transparent, he had listened to the people and he decided to disband all his cabinet. So then, how did he sanctify them a few weeks later? And then he has also found now that Kinaduale can come back. Today in Bomet, he was at home coming for David Chirchir for his reappointment back to the cabinet. So legally, is that even feasible? Because you gazetted that you've disbanded your cabinet the next day, and then you've also given clear reason as to why you did. A minute later, the same characters are back. So I don't know, Daktari, you can advise on that if people can go to court and ensure that he does not even proceed with the people that he has proposed back from the ones that he had fired, I think a week earlier. So before you respond, maybe we can give the mic to Prof. I see you're back. Unmute and say hi. Say I'm a Kenyan.
Sorry, am I audible, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. You can go, and then Honorable Nyeko, Daktari, you can make a rejoinder on the questions that have been asked, and then we can add more speakers later.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy about this space, and I thank the host and the co-host and all the speakers. And Doctor, I joined when you were elaborating on the key points, and that was amazing. You see my thumbs up and appreciated all you said. That was very detailed. That was very international, and that was very, very empowering. And having said that, I put something on the throne or comment section or something, is how to plan a peaceful protest. Number one is very important, is assembling. Assemble. Number two, organize. Number three, define. Number four, research. Number five, prepare. And number six, notify. Number seven, publicize. And then after that, the next one is know your rights in plural. All right. And then the other one is remain peaceful, which the doctor emphasized, which is absolutely paramount. And then the next one is that's protest. So it's to do it, is to speak out on issues that we are, as Africans, as Kenya, we are passionate about, which is very simple. A singular goal is that Ruto must go. And when that happens, you've given the light to shine upon not just Kenyan alone. I want to just be on, without making mistakes. That's not too far away from that. Right? They did that. They hosted, they kicked out the stubborn president, which was a military officer. So that being said, folks, we are not giving up. Personally, and my team and all the folks I know, when it comes to contribution, when it comes to idea, we'll support Kenya. And Kenya must succeed. That man, I was in this space when he came, the president of...
Hello. How are you?
We are not giving up. Personally, and my team...
Hi.
I'm
fine.
Professor, you there's an echo, and maybe you try to land in.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, I don't know, someone was hearing myself. So I think I finished my point really, and then what I will keep saying is that let's not forget those key points. Let's make it simple, simplicity, and then let's keep on be persistent, and we'll get the result. I want to round up with this. Imagine when you're building a big mansion. What do? You lay the blocks, you lay the foundation, make a concrete foundation very strong, and everybody's sweating, everybody's even getting tired and whatever. And we, have a break and have some meal, refreshment, and come back again the next day,
guys,
and you're doing the project. It's consistent, right? And you have the finance, everything's in the bank, right? And when the mansion is built, because you didn't stop, what happened? And you'll say, whoa, I will just build this fantastic mansion. And the world is just saying it. Like, for example, Sagrada Familia in Spain or Paris, the tower. So this is what we're doing right now. So I want to encourage everybody, let's not give up. Let's publicize it. Let's tell the word, and let's go out there and root out the criminals out of Kenya and the entire Africa. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Prof. And yes, so as we proceed, I would like to encourage Gen Zs who are in the space to request for the mic. And I would like to also underline that we are moving forward also going to give priority to Kenyans in Kenya to come in and also share their point. So, Honorable, 2 minutes, please. I hope you can speak, Nyeko. I hope you can speak now.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We can hear you. Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm called Nyako Paul. I'm from Uganda, but I'm currently in the Caribbean. I'm so happy to be here again, and I'm so delighted to be part of this movement. I just want to say that as a Ugandan and as an African, we are so proud of you Kenyans, especially the Kenyan youth. You see now, the wave has reached Uganda, and you heard yesterday or today, our president was warning everyone not to march to parliament. So that is the power of this movement that started from Kenya. It's also moving to some other African countries. So I'm just standing here in solidarity with you people to encourage that we keep the fire burning. Personally, I'm so disappointed with the president of Kenya right now, Mr. Ruto. How can you be like a dog who vomit and then leak out the vomiters. That cannot happen. When he fired all his government, he brought some hope in me. But after a day or two, the dude reappointed everyone from where he fired them from. So literally meaning that he gave Kenyan and African a fat, big middle finger. So my being here, I've been following all these spaces, but today is my greatest day in history that you gave me a mic to speak. It's just to encourage everyone in Kenya. Please stand strong. We are with you in prayers. We are in Uganda. We are in other parts of the continent. We are standing with you, and we pray that the change comes to pass. I'm equally disappointed with my cousin, Raila Amolo Odinga, for what is going on right now with the dialogue. The young people of Kenya never call for dialogue. I'm from northern Uganda, and people of the lake are our cousins. So literally meaning we are all one people. So what he is doing is personal interest, which is not the interest of the fellow Kenyans. Lastly, the energy, the motivation, everything that we are watching on TV, it's giving the wave to all the region of Africa. So you are not talking alone. We are all here following you. It will be very nice that the wave comes to Uganda, goes to Congo, goes to Rwanda, goes to Nigeria, goes to Ghana. Everyone is watching Kenya. So I would like to say thanks so much, and let's keep the power moving. Let's occupy the strategic places like the airport, like what I'm hearing. Those are very nice options. And I'm going to pledge my help. I don't know who to give my help to, but I'm going to put my email on the comment section so that even if $100, even if 500 shilling, Ugandan shilling, I could send it for the youth who are going to be on the street, can buy some water or can treat some injured person. So I'm going to put my email on the comment section. Someone who is reliable can get in touch with me, and I see what I can support as a Ugandan, as a Pan-Africanist, and as an East Africanist. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Honorable Nyeko, maybe you say this is a safe space for you, a Ugandan. I know you've not had such a. You can say here, Museveni must go, and you are safe here.
Kingsman, stop. Kingsman is my little brother. He's always a catalyst. Don't mind
Okay,
him.
Museveni should go. Museveni should go. Are you tired?
Well, okay. Okay, I think Maji, open your mic, but I can't hear you still. But it's okay. You go ahead. I've seen Dr. has raised his
Yes.
hand. But Honorable Nyeko, let us be in touch. Okay, Kingsman, what I say?
So let me do this, Hillary. Let me.
Economic challenges. We have enslaved ourselves. It is we who elected this government. It is we who shall elect the future government. But we never hold these individuals to account. You have just submitted, Eric, very ably, that if Mr. William Ruto was interested in having a worker as a minister for health, he had very good channels where he would have gotten clear advice. Because he's there.
I think Advocate Njiru is having connection issues. Amerix, can you be able to get him?
I'd like to encourage everyone that These atrocities and abuses do not break committed and focused revolutionaries and fighters for justice. They may think that they have broken some of us, but in the whole, it steals us. It makes us more defiant. It makes us more fearless. So let's not fear for the people they have abducted, tortured, and released. If someone wanted to betray the cause, let them not use the abductions, the torture, and then the release as the excuse. If you wanted to join Ruto and don't give the excuse that it is because he arrested you. A committed fighter for freedom will not be broken even in death. We saw it when Patrice Lumumba was abducted, degraded, tortured, and he died with his head held up in 1964. Patrice Lumumba remains as the symbol of African defiance in the face of atrocities. And Ruto cannot be compared to the Belgians in Congo, or Mobutu in the Congo, or Amin in Uganda, or any of these characters who have tried to cling to power through brute force and failed. William Ruto is not more powerful than the Napoleon, all right? William Ruto is not more powerful than all the big dictators like Ceausescu or Marcos of the Philippines. William Ruto is actually a small, tiny insect compared to those dictators. And therefore, William Ruto cannot defeat the people of Kenya. Let us make that very clear. It does not matter what he does. It does not matter how brutal he becomes. It does not matter how desperate he becomes. It does not matter the kind of threats he gives. Let us be resolved. Let us resolve and say that William Ruto will not break the people of Kenya down. He cannot defeat 54 million people. One. Number two, the struggle is protracted and must be protracted. The struggle cannot have one formula. It cannot have one form. It cannot have one way. So therefore, we must adopt many, many ways of weakening William Ruto, of spreading him thin, of disorganizing him, of confusing him, and then defeating him. So whoever wants to occupy strategic public spaces, do so. Do so in large numbers. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter for how long. We prefer that tactically this should be for many days running because you don't want to give him a break. It has been actually tactically wrong to say we are going to have our protest on Tuesday and Thursday only. I don't know what that noise is, but I'm saying it is.
Sorry, I think Devina, please mute your mic. Go ahead, Dr.
It is strategic and tactical mistake to tell William Ruto in advance that we are going to only protest against you on Tuesdays and Thursdays so that he can prepare, he can reorganize, he can re-strategize, he can rearm, he can redeploy his goons and his police to different places because we've already announced what we are going to do. I believe that starting Tuesday, let us give William Ruto a fight to the end. Let us not give him any breathing space. Let us not retreat. Let us not go home. Let us not allow him to rearm. Let us weaken him and exhaust him until he falls. Somebody asked, third point, what are the steps, practical steps, to remove him? There is only one practical step. They are not steps. Once we occupy everywhere and we weaken William Ruto with continuous protests, like in Sri Lanka, or like in Sri Lanka in 2022, like in Philippines before and other countries, he will fall. William Ruto will fall. The world will abandon him. Everybody, including his allies, will run for their lives because they know when we catch them, they will be in jail, and he will naturally fall. So there is no way of saying there are practical steps. There is only one practical step, and that is protests. The third or fourth point, I have heard people say reforms, reform. We don't want reforms. This word reforms make me mad because these are the things that castrated our revolutions throughout history. The moment you bring this drip, drip, little changes, it's like applying deodorant on a skunk. The skunk will smell even more. You don't want deodorant on a skunk. We want a total, complete overhaul. Anna Ali said, what was Ruto looking for? Because he held space, he bought Otero, he took him to State House, gave him a fake, maybe tie, gave him some money, crumbs, and let them co-host his space. They said about 120,000 Kenyans attended. And yet William Ruto says nobody did attend. So clearly he was looking for someone. Maybe he was looking for us, the people in this group, to join, and we didn't, for good reasons. Because what is it that we are going to talk with William Ruto about? We saw how he treated the journalists, Linus Kaikai, Ageo, and Eric Latif. They went there to do their jobs. They asked him questions on behalf of Kenyans, and he treated them with total disrespect. He refused to answer any of the questions that he was asked. And he basically abused Kenyans. He said a little child who had been killed by the police was not shot 8 times, but the child died. Does it really matter whether the child was killed by 1 bullet or 8 bullets? You see, that's where William Ruto is, a narcissist. He can't even accept what is right in front of his eyes. So, the other point, and this is where I'm going to land, the diaspora has made great offers, and they have said they would want to contribute towards the cause. I want us to be careful, and I want us to be strategic. We cannot discuss contributions or mchanga or whatever you want to call them on this space right now, today. Let us have a different space where the diaspora will only discuss contributions and how they can contribute materially or financially to the cause. It could be any day, but let's dedicate a day for doing that. We'll set up a group and we'll pick the most honest among the diaspora to be responsible for that contribution. It would not be one person because that's a dangerous thing. You cannot expect one person to account fully for what nobody else observed. It would have to be more than one person, more than two, more than probably three. Three is a good number, but it could be more. We must have accountability. We must have transparency. We must do it better than Ruto is doing. Because everybody is just doing these things thinking that we expect the person to be quote unquote good. So you are expecting the person to be good, but what if they're not? You would have no recourse. So let's always organize ourselves better than Ruto would or is. And we know he's a thug, but we know that thuggery will not prevail this time. I will land. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Let me test my mic now. If Hillary can hear me, I was thrown out.
No, you're good. You're good. You're something good.
Okay, I had to. Yeah.
They mess up your mic, but you're not fully back. Thank you. Go ahead. I know what happened. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So thanks, Dr. Let's go to Wizard, then Winnie and Eriko in that order. Oh, sorry. Kim, I see you. Welcome on board, Kim. So Wizard, Winnie, Eriko, and then Kim. Wizard of Oz. See what happens when people use nicknames.
Hello,
Peter
hello,
Maina.
hello.
Peter Maina,
Yes,
yes.
yes, Maj. Thank you very much for the mic. Good evening, everybody. Much appreciate. I appreciate a lot for the mic and the opportunity to speak. And I want first of all to appreciate the job you guys are doing. You're doing a great job, and the rewards will be high. So thank you so much. So, and I want to just maybe to emphasize a little bit of saying that we need to put more pressure. We need to put more pressure and pressure and pressure and pressure. This is what will make Ruto move. Otherwise, if we relent, if we start like what I'm seeing, people fighting on Twitter or arguments, oh, we want to be here, we want to be there. We need to put pressure on those pressure points. As Daktari has said, we need to be strategic in whatever we want to do. So we want everybody to come out in every town and every city so that he can see that he doesn't have support. And if we do that for like 2 or 3 days consecutively, I don't think he can be able to stand anymore because he's standing on a very, very shaky ground. I believe so. And today, everybody heard how arrogant, and vindictive, how arrogant he is. He says that he called for a space and we ran away. And you see, and there are people, the last time I checked, I saw, because the space is recorded, you can access it. There are so many people in that space, but he says that we ran away. So this guy is very dishonest. So what do you expect from such a leader who stands in front of the people and he says they called me for a dialogue, and when I went there, these people, all of them ran away and they left me there alone. So you can see what kind of a person we are dealing with. Secondly, I would want to say that he is very vindictive, and the threats he's putting around are real. So people should not make any mistake of thinking that he's not going to act on those threats. He's going to do it. The best way to prevent that to happen is to put pressure so that he feels that he cannot do whatever he wants. Because for him, he's going to be brutal. And I expect him to be more brutal because he is desperate. He wants to stop us. And the best way he can do that is to pick me tomorrow, the other person the next day, like that. So that he make us weak and we lose hope. And we cannot afford to lose hope because
We lost him. Oh, okay. And then he dropped. So Eric, I think the other speaker dropped also. Eric and then Kim. Winnie had dropped. Eric, can you hear me? If you cannot hear me, Kim is gonna go. Kim, please proceed.
Thank you, Mudge, and I have so much great respect for you, and I'm very in awe and almost intimidated by being on this platform with so many people I respect politically and ideologically. What I want to say is I'm speaking from South Africa, and we've just undergone an election which has seen South Africa go back to colonial. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to get out of a very noisy space. We've seen an election which has taken us back to sitting in a government with a colonial master, with a party that supported white supremacy. So at a time when South Africa is going backwards, it is so encouraging to see the people of Kenya on the streets. marching for true democracy. I'm a writer and I've written quite a bit about Ruto, about how he has enjoyed the red carpet of the US and lavish meals while his own people have struggled with growing unemployment and daily expenses. And I think what we're seeing, and I am encouraged, I think that we're seeing the death, it may not be now, but of leaders such as Ruto and in our own case, such as Cyril Ramaphosa, who has actually sided with white imperialism and it kneels down before them, and by doing so have sold their own people. And I think the days are numbered for these people. We're seeing different types of leadership and people power emerging on the continent. And I think the Kenyan people, I can just say that for those in South Africa who are impoverished, and these are the African majority, the Kenyan people are of great inspiration. The party that I've been associated with, the Economic Freedom Fighters of Julius Malema, has pledged its great support for the people of Kenya. And that's very much what we need in our own country. But we have yet to see the bravery of ordinary people going out into the streets. And in the last article I wrote, I spoke about how people in Uganda and across the continent are being inspired by the people of Kenya. And I think it's going to take a bit of time, but we're going to see a new model of democracy, a homegrown democracy, which places great value on the sovereignty of people of Africa. And we even see, just to conclude, the people in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali also demanding a different type of reality, a different type of tomorrow, which is going to serve the young people of their own nations. And I see this as a very exciting move. I'm a bit older, I may not see that in my lifetime, but I think Africa is destined towards a different future determined by its youth, not by its old leaders who are beholden to Western governments. And for me, I just see Ruto, I'm quite disgusted by how he has embraced Western leaders. And as a white person, as a white settler in South Africa, I've written a lot about white supremacy. And you know how African leaders and have sold out to Western nations, but they will never get the affirmation of those leaders. They will always be regarded as second-rate citizens. And quite honestly, to me, Ruto is losing his dignity, not only in Africa, but internationally. But I wish you all well, and I'm so impressed by the level of ideological clarity. I know when the doctor spoke about Thomas and Carr in your last session, I actually wept because to me, he's the greatest leader we've ever seen in Africa. And it's so sad that what we're seeing today is a fraction of those leaders. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us who want to see Africa be freed that we evoke the spirit of such leaders that unfortunately were assassinated by the hand of white people. But thank you for the opportunity. I'm listening with such interest and such love for people who are just wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kim, for always listening to our spaces and also for joining and, sharing your support from South Africa. We really appreciate. Yeah, thanks again. And those who love reading, like Kim said, she's a writer, get on and read her books also. And let's just keep connecting and also learning from different people from different parts of the world. We go to Mike, and I want to really encourage Gen Zs and Kenyans in Kenya to request for the mic, and then as we proceed that way. And Neto and Gerotich, should you want to chime in at any point, just open your mic. Same to Kingsman and Hillary. And Dr. you let me know also when you are ready to answer the questions before I cue you in. So Mike, over to you. And you can use either Swahili or English. We're not only speaking in English here. So I just wanted to just repeat that again. Mike? And if I call you twice, thrice, and you don't respond, I'm going to take you off because those are the people who come in and clog the spaces. So, Mike, over to you.
Okay, hi. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay. First of all, let me say I'm just glad that we've taken this step as the young people of Kenya. I'm glad that we're trying to take the country in the right direction. I was watching the news today and I was actually very perturbed by Ruto's remarks, terming the Gen Zs as faceless anarchists who trying to steer the country in the wrong direction. Yet he wants us to come to the table and talk to him. Yet the demands that we tabled, he is not even yet satisfied either of them. We asked him to overhaul the cabinet. We asked him to dismiss the cabinet, and he nominated a new one. And out of the people that we wanted out of the cabinet, he went back and returned the same people. I think he's trying to look for he's trying to look for the person who's financing this protest. And if he were here, I'd have told him he is our biggest financier. He is the person who is financing us. He's the person who is feeling our rage because he's not ready to listen to us. Gone are the times when you lead people, where you lead people in the direction that you want. This is a democracy. Kenya is a growing democracy. So he has to listen to the people. He has to take the country in the direction that the people want and not the direction that he wants. I think going forward, things are going to be much messier. Things are going to be much harder for him because we're not going to relent. We're not going to take a step back in any way. We will have to make sure that he listens to us, and whatever it is that we want, he will have to do it. He said that he will protect the country, he will protect life, he will protect the people. And I will tell him this, if he's listening: we will come peacefully, but we will not relent. He has to acknowledge that the people are the sovereign power of the state. He has to acknowledge that we are the people who gave him the power that he has, and he has to acknowledge that he has to listen to whatever it is that we're saying. So I will urge all of us, whoever is listening, I will urge all of us to come out in large numbers. Let's marshal in large numbers. Let's come out. Let's fight this. Let's march together. Let's ensure that whatever it is that the lives that we've lost, let's not have lost them in vain. Let's make them count. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike, for your submission. And so moving forward,
Yeah.
I'd like to suggest, kindly mute, Mike. I'd like to suggest that, of course, in the group, in the forum, we are in agreement that the sentiments of the president were actually uncalled for, and more of catalyzing and gaslighting, and also the nomination of the cabinet. Some of them were recycled. So moving forward, would we please while taking all the 2 minutes each, concentrate on the solutions and next pressure point. And so 1 minute go on the solution, and the next minute, if you have a question to the panel, you push it, because we still have over 100 people on the speaker who are requesting for the mic. And meanwhile, the invited guests, feel free to chime in at any time. Winnie, Justice, Masimba, in that order, 2 minutes each. We are concentrating on the solutions for next week. Yes.
Also, we got our thank you so much for the chance. I'm Winnie, agency from Nairobi, Kenya. We are irritated by the president's response today. He said we are faceless, tribeless, but I think he's testing our fearless part, which will show him that we are indeed fearless by turning out in large numbers on Tuesday. Then I have a question to Dr. Miguna. There is a post he made last week, but the one when the Mandamano was starting. The issue of Githurai massacre, he said that some people were incinerated in Kawa barracks. I want him to clarify that point because we are friends there, and they said it's not possible for people to be cremated. Or they were not actually. There were no cremation in Kawa barracks. Can he clarify, please? Because we want facts. We don't want to go with rumors. We are fighting for our nation, and we don't want to fight with rumors. We want to fight with facts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Winnie, for joining us and also for the questions. He had actually clarified that in the beginning, but let me give him this opportunity to give a summary. But while we are at that, let's really share the space again so that people do not come and ask. Really, it's good that you're asking. You don't ask questions that were already discussed. But I see he's raising his hand. He's going to respond to you. Thanks, Winnie. Over to Dr.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Winnie, let me repeat what I said before, and I've said this several times. Number one, anybody who defends the regime, anybody who defends a murderous regime is not on the side of the revolution. Whenever you hear an allegation against the regime, be quick to support the allegation and be quick to blame the regime. That's rule number one in a revolution. Never ever support the regime because that's how to delegitimize it. Number two, a regime that can abduct people from their homes and this, or even from the street, and these people's bodies or corpses are found in dams, in dump sites, and in quarries, some of them decapitated, is a regime that can do anything to survive. Number three, we have information that more than 300 people are missing in and around Nairobi. This is a fact. It's not rumors. We do not know where these people are. Nobody has told us where they are. The state that is paid to protect these people and to be able to provide this information has not provided it to us. These people were participating in the protests. Therefore, any person who is a freedom fighter must assume that these people are dead and their bodies have not been found. Therefore, to dismiss the information some of us received that they incinerated these bodies or cremated them in Kawa barracks would tend to be a support for a murderous regime. Number four, this regime and the regimes before it have human incinerators all over the place. I know of the ones at the headquarters of the NIS on Kiambu Road. They do have already cremators and incinerators. And they can also use incinerators for animals. If many of you have a clear recollection, you will remember the man who died in Ruiru at a factory, who burned to death, and they could not even find his teeth. They do have the ability to disappear you and incinerate you, or burn you, or cremate you. So, anyone who wants to challenge anything I say to you, the onus is on you to table the evidence that contradicts me. Until you do so, focus like a laser beam on the struggle. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Just a moment, Hilary wanted to explain something to Winnie. Winnie, just to add on to onto what Dr. has said, where did you say you're dialing in from? Nairobi?
I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. Yeah.
Nairobi. So imagine ukipotea pahali na mimi niseme Winnie amepotea. Then Hilary anakuja anasema Winnie hajapotea. So you see, Hilary lazima mimi ni mwenye anasema Winnie hajapotea, lazima kuja proof. Because tukiconcentrate kwa ile inasema that Winnie has not disappeared, if you indeed has disappeared, you know nobody is going to find you. But if we go by saying, okay, Marge is saying Winnie amepotea, mwenye anasema Winnie hajapotea, atuonyeshe Winnie hajapotea, and in that way utapatikana. So it's not only what Miguna said that is being disputed by a lot of people. This is propaganda that's going on. So you find that one person says A, instead of people coming to really table evidence against it, they just say the person is lying. But in real sense, when people have disappeared, we will never know. And they're pushing out that propaganda everywhere to just make sure that the truth is buried somewhere. So if you hear something, please tell those people, okay, if you think it's not true, give us the evidence that it's not true. So that way we're going to save more lives. That way we're going to really have a situation whereby we are communicating and we're even seeing the evidences. We should be asking for evidences of that, the thing that we're being told. Thank you. Hillary?
Yeah, thank you so much, Maj. Thank you so much, Daktari, for explaining that. I think those who have been here, Daktari has been explaining this thing over and over, but now I think it is clear, and maybe we will go back to recordings, then you listen to it. Also, kuna wale wanauliza Maji, kwani hakuna Kiswahili hapa? Tunasema ya kwamba
Hillary, on the on the Githurai thing, I have information that those people, the police
Sawa
were
Kings,
shooting
nakupatia
at
muda.
people in a market incessantly, like they were just shooting. So there's a probability that so many people were killed, as Daktari is alluding to. And then also remember, not everyone has got access to internet, or they also have access to spaces like we do, or maybe they're on X, whereby maybe someone is missing, and then we go to their handle and say maybe release someone, or run like a hashtag, like the release guy though nani. So not everyone has got that ability. So many people are not on these social media apps. People are not. They cannot. The best they can do is go to the police station, and you could see the police station saying, like the other day, they said the guy that was murdered outside Parliament. I think the records at City Mortuary, they were saying like he died from mob justice. So we can really not trust whatever this government is telling us until they prove otherwise. They come with that information that Daktari is talking about, and then they say that this is the evidence we have. These people that are saying have been maybe cremated, no, they are not, and then they are alive and they are here where they are.
Sawa sawa, tulikuwa tunahimiza watu ya kwamba Kiswahili, kama unaweza zungumza Kiswahili, Maji alisema muza tu come to just speak Kiswahili, usijali, itisha tu mic alafu pewe pia uzungumuze Kiswahili. Kama unaweza zungumza Kiingereza na kama ni Sheng pia ni sawa, hamna shida. Watu wote uzungumuza tu lugha yote ambayo watu wanaweza elewa, Kiingereza ama Kiswahili. Sawa. Maji, back to you.
Thank you so much. Wangulani, Masimba, minute each. Sorry, 2 minutes.
I thought I was online, but it's okay. I'll mute.
Sorry, Justice. I actually skipped you. Justice Masimba and then Wangulani.
Thank you and good evening, all. I must take this moment to continue condoling with the fellow soldiers who have laid their life and their blood for the sake of our country. And I am here to remind them that their blood was not shed in vain. On that very day that Dr. is referring to, where people are questioning whether there was an incinerator that day. I happened to be in both situations. Actually, I was in town, right at the center and the heart of it all, and I got shot. I was shot 3 times. I've healed now, and on my way back, I was also moving that evening to Kawa Sukari, which is a long, thicker road. No vehicles were moving. The vehicles which could move were up to Roysambu because Githurai was a chock-a-block. No vehicle could pass. So I jumped off the lift I was having and took a motorbike. And I can attest to you that even the motorbikes who had the bravery and courage to ride through Githurai that day, whatever that guy did, even me, I was like, that was out of this world. He rode through it. The live bullets were bursting through our ears as we were passing. Lucky enough, they did not catch me. That would have been my second scenario. But the things we observed as we were passing through, that's not a country you can imagine. And the death that came out of it, because this guy is killed and they pick in the ambulances and run away with them. And my first stop, because I was supposed to stop at Aga Khan TRM, they'd closed. So next stop, I stopped at Rehema. That's where I got treated of my injuries. And we had so many cases of people who had been shot from Githurai. Check, go and visit those hospitals that day. Look at their recording, including fatality. And those who died who had gone to KU referral hospitals were in numbers. So when this guy stand around and say that it was only probably one and all these things, is an insult to our intelligence. And that was just my personal experience. I had experienced brains being blown off in the road next to Parliament. I'd seen several deaths that very day before occupation of Parliament. We were right at the center of these things, and I've just confirmed that I was a victim, treated as well. So I'm happy that I have healed. That following day, I followed up a number of friends of ours who were affected at Kenyatta National Hospital. And a number of, some of you were with me in the hospital when we visited them. And even today, I would still urge you, if you can visit them, like Ward 6 in Kenyatta has been, specifically, there's a ward that is dedicated to the victims of demonstration. And then when you sit down with these guys, visit so that you renew your understanding and your indignation, even to engage further. When I visited them, some can't walk, some need wheelchairs, some can't lift their hands. They need strappers to hold their hands. And then they have varying different situations. And the worst of it all was the psychological state they were in. Most of them were wondering whether what they'd engaged in was in vain. And I had to just, again, inspire them and give them hope. And I believe even if you didn't have a hope enough or a reason to come out and bring down this draconian government, visiting those fellas, visiting those brothers and sisters is sufficient reason enough.
Yeah.
That
Please try to
evening,
land.
yes, that very evening I visited the morgue as well. In Kenyatta alone, they registered that Thursday, the Thursday we're talking about incineration. They'd registered 11 live bullet shots. There were already 3 recorded fatalities. Others were in critical situations. Yeah, so these guys can't just run away and deceive and spread lies the way they're continuing. Just to land, would call out comrades again. It's another day, it's another season, and it's another time. That is Tuesday next week. It is us to press further on our strategy. We need to keep on the messaging. I would call upon members to keep messaging. We need a moratorium on any trade, on any lending, on any borrowing, or even payment of loans on behalf of Kenya by this guy. And we need to intensify our strategy also in communication, because right now he's really trying to use the mainstream media to talk to our parents, to talk to our fathers, and to badmouth us, divide and conquer. So we also got to need to intensify on our propaganda and exposing him whoever he should be. Ladies, if you've ever worked for a cause, I think it's the time. Camouflage with them. Let's expose these guys. Let's embarrass them. They are actually bringing themselves down. Is a reflexive action. And then again, let's turn out. Let's not just be behind the keyboard or in the spaces alone. When we're called out to come out, I think it's necessary. But then we need to come out strategically. We need to organize ourselves in an undefeatable manner and make sure that we send this message once and for all and loud and clear to a point that this guy would not sit back and call us, faceless, formless. He should know that we have a form, we have structures, we have
Juma,
organization and we have leadership. Thank you. I know I've surpassed my time. My
Yes,
apology,
Juma, and
but I
others who
look
wanted to
forward to
speak. But thanks so
communicating.
much for your
Yes.
info, and do share also that info via a tweet so that we can retweet, and then because that is vital information that you're sharing there. And for those who are coming to say that others are giving false information when it comes to death, this is a very serious information that one would, if it turns out to be false, it would have really grave consequences. So please do not dismiss people. Find evidence to show that they're not telling the truth. Wangulani, then Dr. Owiti. 2 minutes each now, for real. And
Hello all.
sorry, before you go, Wangulani, Peter was dropped off air when he was speaking. Peter, kindly just finalize, and then Wangulani can go.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I got dropped. I don't know how it happened. That was very weird the way it happened. I think the government is trying to do everything possible to scatter us and make sure that we do not come together. So as I was saying, that let's put pressure on those points that will really work. So if we decide that we want to occupy spaces, let everybody come out in large numbers, every town, every city, and we put pressure. Because if we do that, he's not going to recover. But if we relent, he's going to come back and very strongly. As I was saying previously, that you see, like today, he was threatening us. And I want you to believe that he's going to come back very, very strongly, very hard, very brutal. So if we don't remove him, he's going to be very, very brutal. So we don't have a chance. We don't want to give him an option. We make sure that he goes. Because if he doesn't go, we will suffer big time. He is very vindictive. I remember when people breached parliament, he said that people must be held accountable. And you see his system, the way he's holding people accountable, he's not even taking people to court. He's abducting people, he's killing them, he's torturing them, and then killing them and dumping their bodies, incinerating their bodies. That is not a person, that is not a human being. This guy is an animal. And you see, he's using the church. He's going to church every Sunday. He's following. Their church people are the ones who are giving him this support and whereas we are fighting him, and the people in the church really need to rethink their way. Even if they are playing God, they need to really think about it. It is very bad that the people who are supposed to tell him you cannot do A, B, C, D, they are the people giving him that support. They are giving him that platform, you know. And that's why our parents, is very difficult our parents really, many of them do not really believe that what we are doing is right, because they look at him as a man of God. But really, is he a man of God? I doubt it.
Thank you
So
so much, Marina.
yes, so I would urge
Uh,
comrades to come out in numbers and let's push him out. We don't have an option. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your submission, and we appreciate always you coming and also giving some ideas on the same. Guys, I know some people coming in and dropping. Check your Twitter handle. It is not the space. I've noticed that it is your handle. Check what is happening or restart your phone so that you don't complain. And so many people are requesting. So we are trying our best to get people on board. Who is coming next, March?
Next we have Wangulani, then Owiti. And like said, the main speakers, if you want to chime in, just feel free at any time. And you also, I've also dropped twice, so it's a technical thing. It's the targeting the space, so we are not removing or dropping anyone. Wangulani, 2 minutes each now, guys. We still have over 100 requests. I'm gonna be now very strict, and so after 1 minute, you're gonna see my hand up. That means you have a minute left. So Wangulani.
Hello all. Okay, so I'll be very brief. So today we saw that the president was very arrogant, and that means that there are people who are giving him confidence to be that arrogant. So I suggest that we identify these people who are basically the politicians supporting him, and maybe some of the rogue police officers, and identify their businesses and maybe their homes, and we can occupy those business premises that belong to them, thus making it very hard for them to do business, disturbing their peace at home. I'm not saying that we should raid their businesses, because I don't encourage violence. So we should just occupy their business premises and their homes. In this way, we will be applying pressure on them. Once they start feeling the pressure around their places, they will not have peace, and thus they will stop misadvising Ruto. And they will also start advising him to let go, because they will start to realize that if all Kenyans don't have peace, they can not also have peace. That's all.
Thank you so much. I'm actually of a contrary opinion about or occupying business premises, because that can really be used to divide the citizens, and it's like a livelihood, like the Kenya we live in. When somebody goes for business, they're going to bring the food back to their child. So if that is, and it's not even the one that you targeted, but then you end up blocking another person, so that's something that's going to bring division, and it's gonna be like some sort of vigilantism. But I stand free to be corrected as we move to Owino, Dr.
Maj, sorry, I think you're right. Let's not turn citizen against citizen. Let us target Ruto, his regime, and their enablers, like Raila Odinga. Ruto, his regime, and his enablers.
Thank you so much, Dr. That's what I wanted to echo and merge what you have said. Let us not target the people's business because they need unga like us. Always let us target the public places. That's the way we are saying parliament and any other place which is public but not business people. I want to say that again, we had 8,000. People are crying here. Follow me, follow each other. Let us follow each other so that when we have these spaces, it's very important. I'm just calling upon, I see some people are saying I'm new here, is when I'm joining. Thank you so much for coming on board, and I'll also make sure that you follow the spaces so that when you have a space, you can see what is happening. Dr. Wen is coming in?
Yes.
Okay, Witty, go ahead.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Daktari Miguna, thanks so much for being here. First and foremost, allow me to set my profile right. I'm Daktari Owito Wayo. I contested for the Kibra parliamentary seat in 2019, following the demise of Ken Okoth. I'm a graduate from the University of Nairobi. I studied philosophy. And the reason why I'm joining this platform is because I have been a victim of torture and abduction. In 2021, as a student of Miguna, actually, I was at the forefront. I was at the forefront to speak against the brutality which was ensuing in the country at that time. That was during the era of the CS of Interior Matiang'i. And just as Miguna is actually very focused on ensuring that we have a regime that respects constitutionality, constitutionalism, blah, blah, blah. I believe that as a young man, I have the ability to express myself without being called or without being coerced by any person, as long as I observe the rule of law, and I also observe the constitutionalism of this country, actually. After suffering unduly, because I was abducted, I was taken to the Ndasolera prison, I was moved from the Ndasolera prison and taken to Kiambu, and this suffering has never been brought to any public domain. The kind of suffering I underwent in 2021 in the hands of Matiang'i, who claimed that I had the ability to kill him. Actually, he reported me to the police. He took me to the DCI on account that I wanted to kill him. And basically what I was telling Matiang'i, I was telling him that you are in a public office and you must ensure that whatever you do to a fellow human being, you should expect the same to be done to you.
Yeah.
And I also
Dr.
want...
Could you kindly land, because we're giving people 2 minutes each, please take your
So
okay.
the reason why I'm bringing this to the public is because there are so many young people, there are so many Kenyans who are suffering unduly. They are willing and ready to join the revolution, but they're afraid that when they're abducted, when they're taken to prison, nobody cares about that. So Daktari Miguna, I can request you. I'm requesting you here to be at the forefront to ensure that any patriot, any person who comes out to fight against the brutality in this country, the atrocity in this country, actually is in your record, so that they find a way of being helped here and there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Kenyan checklist. I'm so sorry. Good that you're raising your hand. I really have not forgotten about you. Take a go.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Now, are we allowed now to speak our mind without
From
fear?
the very beginning, you were allowed. Just just stay within those 2 minutes, please. Yeah. Over to you.
Maybe I want to first of all ask a question. You know, we have to get a clear direction on where we are going, and we also have to get rid of people who are taking advantage or the opportunists, people who are not clear on what they want. Let me call out Miguna Miguna. Miguna Miguna is not helping us in any way. He is a lawyer. Our people are being taken to for custody. Miguna Miguna has not helped even one single protester.
No. Let me ask
Who?
you. Let me
How is
ask you. No.
quiet?
We said
Hold on. If you have
Just let him
a
let
Twitter.
him speak.
Yes, I want
Let him
to
speak.
let him speak, Dr. Ray, but he has a Twitter handle, and to come and blame you as a lawyer for not having helped.
You said we are all on the right on the
So
same.
Kenya, can you please let me speak?
Kenya checklist. Hear the
So
direction.
what I'm going to say
It's very
here is
Maj,
that
can you hear him? I can't hear him at all.
no, I think Hillary has
no, he
muted
muted.
him.
It's muted.
So I'm going to tell you people, all of you, some of you are sycophant. You went in and refused to think. You followed your favorite politician. You were a sycophant. Now, when they turn against you because politicians are the same, you come here and start blaming people. We are not going to be that emotional dustbin where you come to insult people or to attack people personally. So if you have a personal attack against anyone, you are on Twitter, you can use that Twitter handle to attack that person. If you're coming to contradict their idea, you're free. So sorry, and this is something that has not gone very well with people, but no attacks are going to happen in this space. There are many people, personal attacks, no. Calling out an idea and say this is the bad idea, yes. So back to you as you finish your 2
And
minutes.
before he comes in, let us focus on the idea or our topic today. That is making sense. I think all of us are here in one mission, and that mission should be one. So somebody coming and we don't want to divert attention. I think Dr. has been volunteer advices for everybody all the time since we start these spaces. So when you're saying that, I don't think that we're sincere on the same. Otherwise, he's dropped. So I don't know who's next. Say go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
So Fred, you have a mic. Oh, Mumbi, go ahead. Sarah is still struggling, maybe. Mumbi.
And apart from that, before Mumbi goes, Hillary, this is just my personal opinion there. Some of them also voted on tribal lines. And when their tribal kingpins have turned against them, they're coming. Yes, it's a serious situation, but please, let's not use it to have personal attacks. They are not allowed. Mumbi?
Thank you for the opportunity once again. I'd like to encourage everyone and to thank everyone for turning out. Every time you're called upon to turn out to defend our rights and our nation. For me, it's more of a question: how do we get everyone on board, everyone who's Kenyan? Because now it's more termed as a Gen Z or a young people revolution, but where we are at, it's supposed to be everyone. How do we get everyone on board? Another thing is I am a believer in Christ, and Ruto has from the start, even during campaigns, gone to church. So I'm calling upon the church to actively criticize the government, because it's their role. Because when they say all we do is just pray and pray and pray, prayer sometimes without action is dead. Faith without action is dead. As you can see in the book of Joshua, when there was occupation of Israel, when they were marching around the wall of Jericho for 6 days, we had spiritual leaders actively in this. So I'm calling upon the church to stand up with us, even if they're going to call for a week or fast or go to the streets with us, but they can't, during this time, they can't stay silent at all, because they're the ones who can also reach our parents and the older generation, because they really listen to them apart from the president. So I'm really calling upon the church to stand up with us, to stand up with the nation, and to help us educate our parents and be active in this, not just telling us, oh, we need dialogue, or we need to pray. They need to be active in this. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Dr. Terry, would you let us know if you want to chime in now, or if you could?
Yeah,
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 okay.
I would
Please
like
go.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Maj, thank you very much for what you're doing. I want to explain a few things to a few people, and I've been saying this for a long time, but it doesn't seem like it's getting into everyone, but I don't expect it to get into everyone. Number one, this struggle is a voluntary struggle. Nobody's forcing anyone to struggle. If you feel that you support tyranny and looting, plunder, and the destruction of the country, by all means, feel free to support the regime. But you are a few. We will defeat you. So, but feel free to support them. If you do support theft of public resources, then we have a right to conclude that you are also a thief. If you support murder, we have a right to conclude that you are a murderer. If you support abductions and torture, we have a right to believe that that's what you do either for a living or you do it as a habit. Regardless, you have chosen your side. I chose my side when I was young, at the ages of the Gen Zs. I was only 18 when I chose the struggle. I've never left it. Now, clearly, Miguna does not hold public office, and I've never held public office since 2011. So everybody knows that. And there has been no allegations of corruption against Miguna, not once. Miguna has never been terminated because of violations of Article or Chapter 6 of the Constitution. What we are having are specific problems that Kenyans have faced for a very long time. I don't feature in them. I only feature as a resistance, as somebody who is resisting these atrocities against the Kenyan people. So if you are attacking me, it means that you don't want me to continue fighting for social justice. So we know where you stand. There is no problem. Secondly, the Kenya the Law Society of Kenya, and starting from the President Faith Odhiambo, have been very gallant in representing all people who have been arrested, who have been abducted, who have been charged pro bono. They have given their toll-free numbers for everybody to call them in the event that you are arrested. Why do you want Miguna to be representing you? And you are right here on Spaces, you have not even been arrested. What is it that you want from me? I'm not your father, I'm not your mother. I'm just a fellow citizen. I'm a compatriot trying to fight for your freedom. It should not matter where Miguna is at any specific time physically. The only people demanding to know where I am are the people who came to my home already twice to abduct me. Why is that your interest? Why is your interest the fact that Miguna has not visited you at home and yet I don't know who you are? So let us focus, as I said, and I will repeat for the purposes of everyone. This is a collective effort. It is not a personal fight. We are fighting a systemic problem, a problem that started during British colonialism, the problem of theft of public resources and land, the problem of misappropriation of public resources, the problem of assassinations, the problem of murder, the problem of torture. These are things that started during colonialism. Kenyatta continued them, Moi continued them, Kibaki continued them, Uhuru continued them, and now Ruto is perfecting them. These are the things that Kenyans want a stop to. Now, finally, not everybody will be fighting the system because we know that a few, a tiny fraction, less than 1%, are fighting to continue their privileges. This is to be expected, the collaborators of the system. So anybody who is looking for all Kenyans to join the fight is just naive. Not everyone will be fighting the system because we have beneficiaries of the system. We also have sympathizers of the system. Let us unite as patriots and wipe them out. It doesn't matter whether you are from my age group or not, or whether you are from my tribe or not, or whether you are from my class or profession or gender. We must unite as patriots to protect our country from being destroyed fatally by Ruto and his regime and their collaborators. That's all I wanted to say. There is nothing personal in this fight. This is a collective effort.
Thank you so much, Dr. And so do liars with Hillary so that at least we get to know how much more minutes you have, and then we can see when to end the space and at least plan to have the invited guest speakers also give their closing remarks. As you liars with the Hillary in the background, and Neto, anytime you want to speak, just feel free to chime in. So we go by Ndolo and then Ains, then Rogers.
Also, Marge, remember to tell people to follow each other. You follow the speakers, follow the
Yeah,
host,
okay,
the
yes,
co
yes, yes. Let's not
speakers.
forget to
Yes,
build a
yes, yes, yes.
network because.
Number. Yeah.
Okay, Kings noted. Ndolo.
Shukran. Mwanisikia? Mwanipata?
Sambamba.
Kabisa.
Shukran ndugu na kaka Miguna, Neto Agustino, Hana, Maj, Hilary na wengine wote waliopo. I mean, the conversation is good. And mine is just to insist on some things, for a very long time, we've always been saying that it is the institution, the professional institutions that can give us good leaders. Okay, so if it is if you go to the engineers, if you go to the accountants, if you go to the nurses, the quantity surveyors, these are the people who can give us good leaders in the country. But if the institutions are not fighting for their members well, then problems are going to come up because an angry man, or rather somebody who is very hungry, who needs food, rather, will always look at the stomach. So when the financial bill was being passed, and then there were issues like dropping, trying to make sanitary towels be expensive, I wondered why. Yet, if you go on my timeline, there's a lady who has been doing sanitary towels. She dropped out of her. She left her job that was, I think, she was an air hostess, and then she started producing cheap sanitary towels in the country. Yet she's not an engineer. This is somebody who can be supported and ensure that the local manufacturing sector grows. So I find it very hard when a few group of professionals in the engineering sector, for where I come from, that you find very few young people trying to say, hey, we need to ensure that local content is adhered to. We need to ensure that this one is adhered to. so that we promote the local companies, the local institutions that can bring jobs. But the few group of people up there in the professional societies are not seeing that there's a problem. They're very comfortable up there. That said, this movement, it has never been about, it is not about Ruto. It's about the continuous misperception and poor use of institutional offices. Much I see your hand, I'm winding up. And I find it very hard that very hard to understand why people are keep on saying that we need to amend the constitution. We need the constitution the way it is okay. 47 counties, we just need to ensure that if possible we make sure that Nairobi County become under the national government, but make sure the 47 counties remain as they are, and the constituencies they remain as they are. The thing is, we need to implement the constitution and block all the loopholes. We will end up with a good leadership. We will end up with good administration. We'll end up having good resources in the county. Why should Mombasa people in Kisumu go for a retreat to benchmark everywhere they are going? They're going to benchmark all the time. These people are going to benchmark. Didn't they study outside the country? I mean, there are people who've studied outside the country. Raila was in Germany, whoever was wherever. Everybody was in different places, apart from Ruto, of course.
Try to land, please. So that
I'm
yeah,
learning.
thank
So
you.
they have seen things working elsewhere, but they're not trying to do the same thing in the country. Let's promote Dr. Miguna Neto, and I've seen a good friend Ndegwa there. Let's push for local content and local manufacturing sector that can provide jobs for our people. And this, I believe that Miguna have seen it working in elsewhere in other countries. So I believe that this talk should continue. In as much as we want changes, I'm an engineer and I don't want David Chirchir to be the Minister for Roads and Transport. Kindly help me push this thing out. My people are not talking, they're quiet. The engineering fraternity, that is. They're not talking, they're quiet. But I'm not comfortable with David Chirchir as the Minister for Roads and Transport. Thank you.
Thank you so much. No, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Ndolo, for that. I imagine Kings don't have anybody on the mic, but let us deal with the people who are here first. Then we know as we winding up. So I think whoever is coming, it is important also to give your last views as we give. Then we give our speakers as we wind up much. So Bazuri, then Rogers, Ndegwa, just hold on. We'll give you a mic. Bazuri.
Asante sana. Thank you so much, Hillary. Thank you so much, Maj and Kings, and of course, Daktari, for the wonderful and very insightful conversation that we're having today. My condolences to those that have fallen, and of course, quick recovery to those who are recovering in hospitals and other places. Um, Today, as we are trying to have the conversation with the general, I I am with the people that will say Ruto must go. And my reasons for why Ruto must go is that a while back when he realized that country was full of people who were stealing and corrupt and all that, he uttered and said that there are three things involved, right? Either people go to jail, they exile themselves, or go to heaven. And unfortunately, what we have seen when people started helping him, what he said he was going to do, he has started now taking innocent Kenyans to those places. He is abducting young people, some of them, in hospital, some of them in jail, some of them are dead. The three places that he's going to, and some of them, of course, are running away from the country, and those are the places that he said he was going to take them. And therefore, I'm so disappointed, and therefore, I will continue saying Ruto must go. And of course, those who understand what we are talking about, when you talk about Ruto, we are talking about the system, the regime that is so hell bent to do whatever they want to do to make sure that people continue anguishing and buying fear, whatever. I therefore say we have to continue listening to each other, and occupy all places that are allowing this Ruto and regime and the clowns to continue gathering and collecting money that will continue stealing from us. We cannot continue business as usual. We have seen other people, the people that, everybody would give us an example of that, if you go to this place, this is how they do it. If you go to this place, now those examples have come to fruition, and now we can also do the same. That Ruto must see that the coffee is ready and it is smelling nicely, and he has to do the honorable thing, pack and go. Kenya is not short of leaders, and I believe not only leaders that are there, but leaders of integrity, people who can take this country to a bigger and better place. Because I do not understand why that has to continue recycling those failed people that he said they were corrupt, incapable of doing anything. Why is he being held hostage? Anywho, he is, as Dr. said, we cannot continue supporting this government whatsoever. We cannot. I have tried, but I think I cannot. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, Marge, and everybody else who has been in the space talking about this. But we must remain focused, as Dr. has said. It is time or never. It is now or never. Ruto must go. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Marge.
so much, Dr. Fabi, Rogers, Ains, and then Degwa in that order.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I have a few submissions. So the first one is that Ruto must go. So this is how this conversation cannot start with any statement apart from Ruto must go. And actually, Ruto has clearly shown us that he's a careless president. He doesn't care about life, And then today was very arrogant. We had we had what he said in I don't know, was it Bomet or somewhere. Now, another thing that I want us to do is these politicians who are assisting him, his allies. I think for them not to support or rather support the CS that have been reappointed, let us not allow them to speak anywhere. If you see these politicians anywhere, if they want to speak, let us shut them down and say Ruto must go, so that they don't speak anywhere in the public. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rogers, for really keeping the time. Fabish and then Ains.
Thank you so much, ndugu Hilary, dada yetu Maj, ndugu wakili Daktari Miguna, ndugu wakili Ndegwa. I want also to start by saying Ruto must go. And another thing that I want to bring is the attention of the political broker, anaitwa the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. I think as we are also championing for Ruto must go, we want also to send a message to Olusegun Obasanjo to stop meddling with the affairs of Kenyan people. The problem of Kenyans can be solved by Kenyans, not other actors. He's a political broker. He's somebody, not a statesman, somebody with no morals. So tunataka pia hiyo ujumbe ifike kwamba Olusegun Obasanjo must leave the country within 24 hours, and we don't want to anywhere to see him again in our land because we did not invite him and we don't have any business with him. He don't have any business with us, and we are tired of these political brokers. If you want to talk with Ruto, Ruto is his in-law, amepeana mtoto huko kuolewa. Kama anataka kuongea mambo ya ndoa msichana wao ama hajamaliza kulipa mahari, they can talk elsewhere, but not to meddle with political affairs. So I think this is a message that we should send, and we should retweet that Olusegun Obasanjo should stop and never meddle with Kenyan affairs. Another thing is that Ruto, when we ask him question, anaanza kutuita anarchist, anaanza kutuita, we are telling him that we want him to go. His sycophants are asking us, where do we want Ruto to go? We want Ruto to Kamiti prison, because even the Sugoi farm is stolen from someone, and when Ruto go, that land should be reverted back to the owner. The Muteti family should occupy their land that was grabbed. So we want Ruto to go to Kamiti. We are glad We have Wakili Ndegwa, they will do that after Ruto has gone. Watahakikisha kwamba wamemsafirisha Kamiti na shamba ya Sugoi imerudishwa kwa the family of Muteti. Thank you, that is my submission.
Thanks, Fabish. To Olusegun Obasanjo, I actually had retweeted something. As we speak, Nigeria, the constitution of Nigeria does not even give Nigerians enough time to vote. It's shocking. And the population is huge. But we have people flying in, even our ex-president is flying in to go and observe an election where people do not even have time to vote. So by the time they're finishing, the voters are just at the mercy of the people who are helping. You being told, okay, the time is over, but you can just come in. So that's the status. So I think as we try to meditate, to like negotiate, we should also look at our countries and try to make sure that all is well there. Eins, please.
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear. 2 minutes, please.
Loud and clear.
Okay, so today I'm just going to address something. I'm just going to address the president directly, since he decided to decrease threats to the Generation Zs and the millennials and everyone who was taking part in this protest today. Mr. President, I just want you to know to listen to me real quick. This is something that you must listen to, because you keep on trying to like hide yourself as a religious man, and like you keep on trying to take cover under the guise of the church, which is a very corrupt. So like you've already murdered a lot of people, and you said like you murdered them because, and you said like that you gave us the opportunity to speak and that you wanted to listen. But I want to point out something, that you did not listen until you were out on the streets. Whatever that you said, it's already false. You did not withdraw the bill until people were out there protesting. So claiming that you are a listening president, it's already false. And let me tell you something, that blood requires a recompense. This is something that the preachers in the churches that you go to will never tell you. But let me tell you something right now. The blood that is shed, when you shed an innocent man's blood, it calls out to the Lord. Like in the Bible, when Abel was killed by Cain, the blood kept on calling to God until Cain got what was coming for him. And this is what will happen to you, and to you for all the innocent Kenyans that you've killed. The blood will keep on calling to the Lord, and the God will give you will answer them with their judgment, the judgment that will fall upon you. You will not even believe it. Your case is a case similar to the cases of David and Saul. All Kenyans wanted was for you to humble yourself and come down and listen to them, but you did not. You chose violence. The same thing that Saul chose. And let me just, I think this is, I don't know whether you'll take it as a threat or as a prophecy. But the more blood that you will shed, your end will be the same like Saul. You will be dethroned from that throne that you think is untouchable. And I ask for all the young Kenyans out there, please do not fear. Please show up for the protests. Let us give him the answer. Let us show him that we are all united and we are not relenting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eins. Yeah. Let's go to Ndegwa Wakili.
Yeah. Thank you very much, host. Thank you very much, Daktari Miguna, for your submissions, and the submissions that have been delivered ably by all the participants. I only want to address two issues. Then one, I'll ask Dr. Miguna to give us some guidance. I want to address the question of collective responsibility in government, and most importantly in cabinet. When we called for the resignation of the president, that is Mr. William Ruto, And I begin by saying that Ruto must go, and echoing that, he decided to dismiss the cabinet. The dismissal of the cabinet was a wholesale condemnation of their incompetence. Doctor will agree with me that in constitutional law, we have the doctrine of Montesquieu. And Montesquieu, the philosopher, speaks about two aspects in a cabinet. He speaks about collective responsibility, and he speaks about individual responsibility. So by Mr. William Ruto agreeing to dismiss these individuals, he confirmed our position that they had failed, not as an individual cabinet minister, but as collective cabinet. So for him then to go and try to sever some of them and to sanitize some of them, it's an insult to the revolution. It creates much more anger to the revolution. It confirms that he's taking us for granted. Under collective responsibility condemnation, there cannot be redemption. You cannot redeem individuals who have wholesomely been condemned. And it's on that reason, therefore, that tomorrow we are filing a petition before the High Court for interpretation. Number one, Mr. William Ruto is a very cunning man. He dismissed them wholesomely without processing them through the due process. That is to mean that you cannot simply say or point out why Murkomen was dismissed. You cannot point out why Duale was dismissed. And due to that lack of indictment, because we are not taken through the due process, because the Constitution contemplates under Article 47 that people will be subjected to a process that evaluates them. Equally under Article 73, 75, and 74 and 75, it presupposes that before you are dismissed, you are taken through the due process. But he denied that process or that opportunity so that then he can go and redeem some of them. In my view, none of them qualifies to be reappointed. None of them qualifies to be redeemed. None of them qualifies to be recycled. On the other aspect, I would wish to ask Daktari to guide us. I have seen in other struggles, for example, the ANC struggle in South Africa, the ZANU-PF struggle in Zimbabwe, the struggle that was in Namibia. I have seen them, and we can give many examples. Even the NRA struggle in Uganda, or SPLM struggle in Southern Sudan. I have seen them at a particular juncture, people going out to other international communities to seek for partnership of individuals who resonates with us. Is it now the time for us to move on and seek people and partners who can resonate with our cause, who can identify with our cause and try to get some partnership? Is it the time that we now start sending out emissaries? It's a fact that we're in a struggle. Mr. William Ruto understands that we're in a struggle. He's creating his defensive mechanisms. Then we also need to create our counter mechanisms. Because I believe that we are all advocating for a non-violent movement. A non-violent movement that yields and puts substantial pressure on Mr. William Ruto. So I'm just seeking for guidance. Is it the high time that now we start moving towards that direction? Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, comrades in the struggle, we'll hit the High Court. The High Court is very responsive these days so that we can have that process of vetting these crooks halted by the High Court as we await the interpretation. Thank you very much, host. Thank you very much,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Let's have yes, please. Go.
Meg,
Take a go. Yes. Yes.
Meg, Meg, this is Neto. I was keeping my voice until when I make the last closing comments, but what Kalindegwa raises are two things that I'd like to clarify. Now, on the first part is his argument about collective responsibility of cabinet. Yes, it's true there's a doctrine of collective responsibility of cabinet, but that collective responsibility is to the extent of the decisions and the unanimity of cabinet. As a member of cabinet, you cannot then excuse yourself or, take yourselves away from the decisions that cabinet has taken. It's not to be interpreted in the manner in which he wants to try and interpret it. But the second thing I'd like to say is that It is true within the meaning of Article 75 of the Constitution, and of course, this is what I'd like him to canvass in High Court tomorrow, and of course, UGM party will also be part of that, is that, given the provisions of Article 75 of the Constitution, it says that, once someone has been has been dismissed from a state office, then they're disqualified from being from holding any office. So of course, it's true that the couple of cabinet secretaries that were earlier on dismissed from cabinet are not qualified to be members of cabinet. But I disagree with him when he tries to say that Article 47 provision of due process was not followed, because again, the president himself, if you look at the Gazette notice, which was dismissing the cabinet secretaries, he writes the reason as to why. He gives there's a ratio. Cabinet was invited to evaluate their performance. They did evaluate their own performance, and he found that with that particular evaluation, they were short of what was supposed to have happened. So in a sense, there was due problem. He set for them the terms, and he found them incapable of being in office. So I just want. Whereas it's true that a couple of the cabinet secretaries that were asked to dismissed cannot qualify to be reappointed. That is also a separate and distinct argument from the doctrine of collective responsibility. So that does not mix the fact that half the cabinet was brought back was because of the doctrine of collective responsibility. Thanks much.
Thanks. Do you want to peg your closing remarks, or was that all, Neto?
I'm happy to make a couple of closing remarks. Therefore, then, so I was going to speak three things in closing. Of course, I agree with Fabish when he says that Olusegun Obasanjo should be paid his balance of the bride price. Then he leaves Kenya alone, so that at least Kenya then becomes a republic that is autonomous. But number one, from the comments that we've seen from the president today and with his actions on Friday, it is definite that we are dealing with a captured president. As to how he's captured or who has captured him, that is what we really need then to distinguish, because he's recycling of people who everyone else has issues with. And in fact, if you'll be surprised at how much corruption, how much how much unqualified, if that's English, this set of 6 or so cabinet secretaries that have been recycled have been subjected to. You'll really be worried. So we're dealing with a captive president, and the best way we can help him is to make him go home and rest, to reflect upon his captivity in a way that sets out the Kenyan people, so that the Kenyan people. So as we move into this next week, which in my view is the second wave of this particular protest, I really think, number one, we need to make them intense, decisive, and sustained. And with sustained, I really like to borrow what Dr. Miguna has said, that, we don't have to then timetable them. We don't have to roster them in terms of Tuesday or Thursday. If we can get going in a sustained manner for the rest of the weeks, starting Tuesday until this particular president leaves office, then I think that will be a very good thing. The third and the last thing that I'd like to see is with regard to the struggle. And I just want to buttress what General Miguna said, that the struggle must be protracted yet multifaceted. I think a speaker has said very well on the call that there is need to get all hands on deck. When it started before, Gen Zs were really apathetic to the fact that they wanted it to be their own struggle without millennials and Gen Xs. But I really think that we've discovered that everyone else has their play. Gen X, the millennials have their role to play, the veterans have a role to play. Gen Zs could actually be the infantry. They can do all that they were. This is their fight. This is their vision. But I think everyone has a role. Let's just agree in terms of who does what, because it is our country. They've set the agenda. It is about constitutionalism and rule of law. Everyone else needs to find out what they can do in their little space, in their little way. And lastly, is just something that Ndolo said with regard to professional institutions and engineers. I really think that the reason why people prefer professional institutions is because of the two-tier process with which they are able to check the members of their bodies. For example, the LSK or the Engineering Society is able to check their membership in a professional manner. So it provides a two-tier process, but it's not necessarily that the fact that the professionals run better government or are better at governance. It's just the dual advantage that you have. So sometimes you get good lawyers, sometimes you get good engineers, sometimes you get bad lawyers, you get bad engineers as well. But the process of lawmaking, especially the finance bill, there's always many vested interests. And you'll be surprised if at all you followed the debate of the finance bill, the PS Treasury and even the various senior budget people at Treasury were not so sure what was the content of the budget. They were not so sure why they were doing certain levies. So that just shows you that government itself is very opaque, and it does not. We really need to get back Kenya into a place where institutions make sense, institutions matter. You do not have a PS that is supposed to be the one responsible, or the minister that's supposed to be responsible for treasury does not even know the content, does not have the reasons as to why certain levies are being levied. So I really think I agree with you. We must get back our country. We must take Kenya to where it belongs, and it is a role that requires everyone else's hands. Thank you, everyone else, for listening. And I think it was a very good debate tonight. And thank you very much. Looking forward to the next one.
Thanks,
Thanks, Mike.
Netro, and for your submissions, for answering the questions, and for taking your time to be with us. And thanks to everyone also and the listeners. And as we finalize, let's not forget to build the network, follow the host, the co-host, the speakers, look left and right, and follow each other. And especially those people who have small following, please ensure you follow each other. I want you guys to have at least 10,000 so that if you have to share something, we can do. Daktari, I see your hand is up. Please take a go.
Yeah, I would like to make my final submission, please.
That's all right.
Yeah, I wish to happily report to the country that General Olusegun Obasanjo left Kenya yesterday. So I hope he doesn't come back. Maybe he got his last installment of the bride price, like NATO had put it. And to just tail back on what NATO said, good leaders do not come from the professions necessarily. Good leaders come from individuals of integrity, no matter what profession. So hopefully, Kenyans are trying to overhaul the system so that they can choose leaders with integrity, built on a people focused institutions and system of government. The idea that if there is an amendment of the constitution, Nairobi should be under the national government is a no-go zone. The constitution is very clear. Kenya is governed on two levels: the county level and the national level. If you want to change that, you have to go through a referendum, and Kenyans have to change their system of government. And maybe at the end of the revolution that will happen, but that should not be our focus right now. Number three, I wish to announce happily also that President Biden of the United States of America has just dropped out of the 2024 presidential race in America. And that's very good news for Kenyans, because this is the administration that has been trying to fortify Ruto. Now that Biden is gone, we should send Ruto together with him so that they can go as a couple. But we know for sure that there is no grandmaster at State House who is going to support Ruto, who is going to ensure that they help Ruto divide Kenyans so that he can continue ruling. So we should hail this as a good success, and we should top it up by sending Ruto home. Number three, as I have said repeatedly, this is a collective effort, and we should keep it as such. And because it is a protracted struggle, the idea that Mr. Ndegwa the Wakili gave, regarding sending emissaries and whatnot is part of that struggle. We should not just send emissaries. We should send letters and petitions to the International Criminal Court, to all the major administrations of Western governments and organizations, and to be able to alienate, isolate, and weaken the Ruto regime. What they did with the Ford Foundation was actually good for us and counterproductive to them, because at least the Ford Foundation now knows the enemy of Kenyans sit and sleep at the White House. To conclude, as I have said, let us keep this united. Let us work together. Let us avoid sectarian parochialism. Let us stop dividing ourselves and attacking each other. And as Frederick Douglass said, and I will quote another, important thing that he said, because I started with this quote, I want to close with another quote. Frederick Douglass said, "Where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, and in Kenya poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe." So, in the Kenyan context, you cannot tell us that you want property to be safe, and yet you are organized in a conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade Kenyans. And you want everybody to be safe, but you are abducting, torturing, and murdering Kenyans. So we have to send a clear message to Ruto. Duplicity, hypocrisy, deception, divide and rule will not work. Let's start it on Tuesday. Let's continue it on Wednesday. If it does not fall on Tuesday, let's continue on a daily basis until Ruto falls. Occupy JKIA, occupy CBD, occupy Parliament, occupy Parliament Square, occupy everywhere. Thank you, comrades. Have a good evening. May God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harry, for taking time again to come and answer our questions and also to share your wisdom with us. We really appreciate that. And so, as we continue now, we're also closing at the top of the hour. We'll have KDR TV and then Gerald Teach do her closing remarks, and then we close.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maj, Dr. Miguna, my good friend NATO, and all the listeners. Still having so many problems, and I don't really know exactly how we'll manage go through. My problem or nightmare is about the IEBC. If Wakilindego is still here, you guys, we need you, or we need to work together and ensure that the people who are hounded out of the office, the Cherera 4, should come back to the office so that IEBC can be in a position to recall or reconstitute a snap election if it's called tomorrow. So these people were basically hounded out of the office with fictitious claims. They were hounded out of the office just because the regime which came in saw them as traders or saw them as people who are not really good to be in the office. So the only way they did was to constitute a quasi process, or let me call it a kangaroo court process. Then it was passed very fast in parliament, and then they were out of the office. So these are the people, if we really need to fight justice, I mean, not really fight justice, but if we really need justice, the very best option is for us to ensure these people come back. As a media personality or practitioner, I've received so many petitions, and the very best way possible is just to tell the MPs, tell the lawyers out there that many Kenyans, especially in the diaspora, are really yearning to see these people back in the office so that the process of ensuring that MPs are recalled, or if a snap election is called, because this is the chess card now Ruto is really having under the table, whereby he has to bring back the MPs, he has to buy time, he has to do all he can manage to ensure that he stays back. I mean, he stays in the office. My other problem or concern is about Ruto's regime now brandishing journalists or the media fraternity as calling for anarchy. When we report what is basically happening. We don't report for the government to be happy. But a responsible government is supposed to be seeing or listening to what um, the people on the ground are talking about. Mr. Gachagua has been saying that he's listening to the ground. So if they are listening to the ground, why can't they just act and ensure that whatever is being spoken or whatever is being said in the ground, on the ground, is listened to? Today, when Ruto was in Bomet, it was really a very hectic time for him because people heckled him. The only place where at least he had some good timing or good time is when he was in the church. And the words he spoke in the church, we've really calculated as analysts, we've really calculated those words and say, and we are really thinking very much that is really planning something very bad. You know, if this is somebody who is very genuine and listening to the electorate or listening to Kenyans or the Gen Zs, he could be listening and then acting. But him again recycling the people, he himself by a stroke of pen said that they were incompetent and now bringing them back. And he's basically waiting to see what Kenyans are really thinking. And he also is just tricking the opposition, uh, knowing very well that the opposition are not really going to have a consensus. Then he'll just bring back all his cabinet. So there's nothing really much we can discuss with our friend Bwana Ruto. The very best option for him is just to vacate office so that Kenya can continue. It's him calling for anarchy. I've been having so many discussions, especially in the WhatsApp groups for intellectuals. Some of the intellectuals, we call them intellectuals, they don't know which school they went to. What they're telling us or what they are saying out there is completely obvious. So let's forge as a country, let's move forward, let's occupy every part, let's continue being peaceful so that our country can be reverted back to its owners. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and we'll continue this discussion and we'll continue having a wonderful country. Thank you so much. And my request is to Mr. Ndegwa, the lawyer. Can you guys have a petition in
We have,
Parliament for the Cherera 4 to come
okay,
back to
we have,
the
and
office? Thank you.
I saw Daktari was
Yeah,
raising his hand
he wants to chime in.
to
Yeah, Daktari, over
Uh,
to
come in
you.
that. Daktari.
yeah,
Mm.
thank you. Omweri, my friend from KDRTV, Minneapolis. Let me answer you. Number one, it would be duplicitous and hypocritical for us to say Ruto should not bring back the ministers that he fired, but then we claim that the IBC commissioners that were fired should be brought back. We will be shooting ourselves in the foot. We cannot do that. Revolutionaries don't do that. We know that the IBC as a whole is rotten and should be overhauled together with the entire political architecture of the country. You cannot pick and choose. If it is rotten from top to bottom and you want to uproot it entirely. You cannot leave some parts of it. So, no, I, for one, will say the Cherera 4 go and probably should even be prosecuted because some of the things that they did amount to illegalities. The Supreme Court spoke already, and we cannot overrule the findings of the Supreme Court if we are going to be a people governed by the rule of law. So I wouldn't encourage that. We are focused on Ruto. Anything that takes our attention to anything else is a diversionary strategy. Our focus should be on Ruto and his regime. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Dr. Harry. And actually, this topic comes handy. Every Thursday, I host spaces also. And the Cherera 4 will be coming in, but just to share their mind, not that anyone is vouching for them. We need to hear also from them. But after that, of course, Miguna has shared his opinion. We let Ndegwa share his opinion, and then Gerald Teach will close. But I'd like to clarify that next week when they come, they're just coming to share what happened from their point of view, because they were not given enough time to speak. And after that, of course, everyone else will share as they see. And Degra?
Although Maj,
Yeah, yeah.
there was a court process and they had lawyers in court, so we know
Okay.
what they said.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'm looking forward to that session, guys. You come and I'll just be moderating that because it seems like you guys have a lot of info on that. Ndegwa, please, and then Jerotich.
Yeah, thank you. I cannot agree more with what Dr. has submitted, that we cannot start looking for the best orange in a rotten bag. We must understand that the IBC Act is now in force. It's a mechanism that has been proposed for selecting the commissioners. What we are called to do as revolutionaries, because it's important for us and imperative for us to have the commission in place for the completion of the democratic cycle, is to make sure that the panelists who are going to be selected to go and interview the commissioners are men and women who are beyond reproach. So there are guys that we must look at critically and see whether they will be sellouts or whether they are going to stand and defend our democracy. Number two, we should not just focus on the commissioners alone, but even the secretariat of the IBC that survives the commissioners is rotten to the core. So we're simply saying that even the secretariat itself must be reviewed. We must look at the credibility of the individuals who are currently holding office in the secretariat, because it's pointless for us to refresh the commissioners and leave a rotten engine, because the commission's engine rests with the secretariat. So even the secretariat, we must focus on it to make sure that we have also reformed it. We have gotten people that we can trust. We have gotten people who are patriotic enough and committed to the democratic principles of this country. Thank you very much, Dr. Ari.
Thanks so much, Wakili. Jerotich, over to you as we close.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This has been such an enlightening space. Now, I just want to end by saying we're dealing with an unapologetic, dangerous, and Nero-like president who would burn Rome and blame Gen Z, just as Nero did the early Christians. He advises himself and is convinced that he will bend us to his will. And you know, his agenda is the consolidation of economic supremacy. Political dominance and survival is the means to that end. I just want to share that there is a deeper awakening happening, and we are all recognizing this. Let us build on this irreverence, this deplatforming of sacrosanct figures, and let us do it with utter fearlessness. I take note of some of the phenomenal spaces, including one that is, and by the way, you should all follow it as well, that is forensically tracking the incredible depths of corruption and structured poverty in the extractive areas of mining and conservation. This is beautiful to watch. This is absolutely Gen Z led and amplifies the voices of so many, including Dr. Mordecai Ogada, Professor Wandia Njoya, and the errant natives at large. You know, revolution is no longer needing to take decades. Yeah, it'll take longer than 1 month, but it is coming, and it is coming fast and hard at us. Let us all meet on Tuesday. I certainly will be there. Will you? And we keep saying Ruto must go. So with that, I say viva and aluta continua.
Thank you so much, Jerotich. I would like to thank everyone for coming. And of course, I don't have much to say for closing. As closing remarks, you've said all that needed to be said. I just wanted to remind, of course, it's going to be a very interesting space. Terry, do you want to say something? Your mic is on.
No. I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
So I'm just reminding of the space next week, Thursday, that we're going to bring on board the Chirera 4. And my position is just sharing, giving the platform like I do give the platform now. And if you want to chime in, come on board. And so Hillary, kindly close, or Kinsman, just some minutes, then Hillary, and then we close. It's been centuries here.
I think much has been said, and I agree with most of the speakers that have come before us. Mine is just to remind people that there is no section of Ruto that is good. He is not willing at all to meet Kenyans halfway in whichever way that we want. If you just look from the Office of the Auditor General Report, in terms of even the odious debt that we've been paying, you saw that they wrote letters asking for statements for the repayment that we've been done when the loans were given going back to 2010. Out of the 39 lenders that we have on record, only 26 responded. So meaning the others that the government is paying are not even known. There's a loan of 4 billion that Kenya has been paying since 2010, and it's
Kingsman.
actually
Yeah.
yeah, we finished paying it long time ago, and it's still in our books that is a loan that. So there is so much that is wrong with this country, with this regime, and the only way that we are gonna redeem back our country is to just ensure that Ruto must go. Thank you so much,
Okay.
Hillary.
Thanks so
First
much,
speaker.
Kingsman. Thanks so much, Maj, for coordinating the meeting and also the forum. And our speakers, Daktari, thank you so much. Neto, Jerosich, and Mkwasi, Daktari, thank you so much for joining. And everybody else who has been in this space. We are setting another one soon. Maybe we're going to coordinate that. And also, I want to caution this. And Daktari said it very clearly that let us be very careful, because I've heard that some people are asking money. Let nobody give out the money in our name. If there's that thing will come, we will try to put a space. We'll do that, and it will be clear, and everything will be clear. We don't want our name to be tempted with oh, we send money somewhere. No. If you're sending as an individual, not as a group. If there's anything that will come, we'll come to this space again. We'll talk and we agree on the decision and who is taking it, or anything that the support that you want to give. As you give the any support, know that you're giving as individual, not as this group. So this group will have a very organized plan, a way of doing it, and we'll give that information so that it go outside there. We don't want anybody to come with a name. Oh, we came to the space and then we give out something to support. We don't want to do that. If the support will come from this group, we are gonna do that, and we're gonna announce it clearly. Otherwise, thank you so much. Follow each other and the last round as we're winding up, and we thank you so much. We have been here more than 4 hours today. We are very sorry about that, but next time keep an eye, because soon we're gonna set another space coming soon. Thank you so much. God bless you. Keep it alive on the pressure point all the time. Thank you. Bye.
11 people from that county. After 2 weeks, imagine wamerudi kwa kazi. They are now going back to cover up yenye ilifanya wajulikane. Like, why is it that the ESCC and the prosecutor, wanaitwa PP, hawawezi fanya kazi yao? They are really giving these counties a walk away with the money that should be developing. Tell me why we lose 4 billion yenye inaweza jenga. Sisi Nyamira hatuna hospitali. Ukipeleka mgonjwa hospitali, make sure umempelekea maji ya kuoga. Kama si hivyo atarudi, unaweza pata hata amekufa because hakuna maji. The county governments are doing the major looting. Achana na hii ya national government yenye tunapea attention. So if you're in position to go back to your county government and arrange and occupy your county, let those governors, soma tu report your auditor general, let them tell you where the money went. And if they are not being accurate and telling you what happened, let that governor go home. If he can't fire masisi wenye wamekaa huko kwa county government, let him go home. Na if he fires them, wacha wachukuliwe hatua. Saa hii unaenda kidogo hivi unasikia hospitali hakuna madawa, hakuna maji. Juu governor alichukua 10 million akaenda Canada akaleta mbegu ya ng'ombe. Eti sasa animal husbandry ndio tunafanya sijui with this money. They are doing so very many things. To be tudogo, then they allocate billions. Before we finish with the national government, some of you should be occupying your county. Just read that Auditor General report and know wage bill ya county yenyu ni ngapi. Mbona governor create unnecessary positions just to do what? To use it as a way of looting. Na kama governor wenyu ni wa ako second term, huyu hata si kuiba anaiba. Huyu ana divert everything because he's allocating money for finished projects or the former projects. Na nasema kama sisi kuna stadium inaitwa Manga Stadium. They keep giving it 100 million every year. Na iko tu the same kiwanja, hata ng'ombe zinaingianga kukula hapo. It's just a kiwanja. So they are using finished projects to loot. They are using existing projects. Na wanazipeleka pole pole ndio waendelee kufanya nini? Kuiba nazo. So the best thing to do, just go occupy your county governments. Me, I'm going to, if any of you is here from Nyamira, Tuesday we are occupying that county. That 68-year-old mama serving as the youth, yeye ndiye anasimamia youth and gender, yeye akai nyumbani. We can't have someone holding a position yenye hata hajaiweka tournament hata moja. Na ukimuuliza anakuambia na wewe ni nani? Unajua nilisoma US, I have 6 degrees. Penda nyumbani bado. Tunaweza hata mtu wa diploma bora tusaidie. We don't care. Thank you.
Beverly, kindly wind up. Okay, thank you so much for that. Eric Omondi.
Yes, guys. Asante sana, Americ, Cyprian, Edgar. First of all, guys, I feel very sad, yeah, because we are so close. We are so close, and these are things that come once in a lifetime. You know, I read somewhere that politics is the art of a few organized people controlling a disorganized majority. And guys, this is Kenya's last best chance. And our children, our great grandchildren and our grandchildren will blame us. We are so close, guys. And we have this guy cornered. You've seen his body language. Today he's conceding, tomorrow he's threatening. So tushampata. And we are so close. Tumepewa pena, bro. Tuko 1-1. Alafu tukapewa pena at the 90th minute. Na lazima tufunge, bro. And brothers and sisters. So as a person who has traveled this journey for quite a long time, a person who has endured so much, yeah, who has suffered so much, alafu kufika kwa hapa kwa finishing line, alafu tuna stop, yani atupiti your line, tunaanza kuwa disorganized. We need to understand that this thing is not just about Kenya. People have called me from Uganda. They're going to parliament on Tuesday. They are looking upon us. Tanzania, Uganda, Africa is looking upon us. The whole world is discussing Kenya. CNN is here day in, day out. We are about, we're at the verge of making history and changing Kenya forever. We cannot lose this fight, especially now. If these people reorganize, re-strategize, and regroup, we will regret it. Tutalia kwa choo. Yeah? And guys, we need to be very clear at this 11th hour. What do we want? What are we going for? And after we've achieved it, how do we move forward? Tunasema Ruto must go. If Ruto goes tomorrow, Gachagua takes over. We must start changing our narrative and our demands. It is the presidency. It is the presidency must go. Wacha Wetangula take over for 90 days, sijui ni 60, and then we constitute. And that's why I was very happy when Ruto started the process of constituting the IEBC. So we must tusijipige own goal. Ruto asitoka na Gachagua ingie, it could be worse. So first of all, we cannot be disorganized. We cannot be fighting amongst ourselves. And I have the moral authority to say what I'm saying, because I think on this platform I can say it. Maybe I can't say it on the traditional media. Some of us started this thing, and the vision we had, the dream we had, the prayer we had, all of a sudden, tuseme ni Mungu, it's happening. And some of us, it pains us to see that tumekimbia tukafika pale mazee, badala tupitishe tu line tumalize kazi. We've run a good, we've kept the faith. Alafu sasa tunaingiliwa na infiltration and na mavita. So what are we looking for? Whether Ruto resigns or he doesn't resign, I hope he does. We must know what we want. Kuna kitu tumeanzisha. Paka juzi kumekuwa na earthquake. I don't want to get spiritual on this platform. Do you know the last time Kenya had an earthquake? There's a lot that is going on in this country. Things are shifting. Mpaka tectonic plates. Hii tumefika point, it's like a pregnant woman in labor. Nothing can stop this from coming forth. Huyo mtoto atazaliwa. And it has nothing to do with Ruto. Ruto ataenda hata kesho. But there are things that I will tell you guys today that we must achieve. First of all, this bullshit of county government, of devolution. Devolution was meant to devolve services. It only devolved corruption. Why do we have 47 counties? America is a continent. The country of America is the size of a continent. They have 50 governors. Why do we have 47 governors and 47 senators? What are the work? Kazi ya women rep ni nini? Why do we nominate MCAs and MPs and senators? Immediately we achieve, because we shall achieve. We must revert back to 8 counties. Nimeona leo sini governor yupi. You know what's going on with Wamatangi? You know what's going on with the governor Alinini? Alinunua crate moja so that 1 million. Kuna mwingine amefungua bridge. A very small bridge. Hata hakuna maji. Just on a flat surface. I don't know if you saw the bridge. We must do away with the 47. Do you know how big Texas is? The state of Texas. Na nilisema juzi mtu ananipinga. Kenya goes into Texas 2 times. And it is led by 1 governor effectively. Texas is the size of Kenya twice. Once we achieve whatever we achieve, tutaenda referendum. We are fixing the nation from the root problem, which is corruption, nepotism, tribalism, and partyism. Hizi pesa zinapotea kwa county. Zinapotea na Sakaja na our governors. We must revert back to 8 provinces. Wacha tuziite counties. Let us have the coastal county, the western, muite Mulembe County, muite Pwani County, muite Nyanza County. Well, Kenya is too small to have 47 governors. Alafu hakuna kazi wanafanya. Mmesikia what my sister just said there. That is our target. Our number one target is to get rid of the presidency. Constitutionally, Ruto akitoka leo, Gachagua anaingia. Tunarudi kutena kwa demonstrations, kukufa tena. We are doing away with the presidency. Wacha Wetangula chukue. Legally atachukua for how long? In 90 days. We must go into election. The MPs who voted yes must all go, must all be recalled. So to go in a target. Target number one, we gave President Ruto an opportunity. I personally was very happy when the president dissolved the cabinet, and I expected him to self-preserve. I expected him to listen to the people. Ruto had an opportunity to do what the people wanted without any of his cronies castigating him or attacking him. He had the opportunity to tell them what say ni wa Kenya na umeona wameingia paka parliament. So I expected him juzi when the president anaongea, I expected to come and fire all the parastatal heads, and then fire all the PSS, and then fire every government official. He lost his chance. He lost his only chance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Kenya's best last option. And it will not come around again. It will not come around for another 100 years. And Uganda is looking up to us. Africa is looking up to us. Because revolution revival starts from Nairobi. So the bullcrap of Cairo saying Bonnie did and you who did it, it pains my heart. And if there are people who are infiltrating and you've been paid, may God strike you with lightning. May the blood of Kenyans who died, whose brains were blown off, may that blood go straight to your family and your great-great-grandchildren. May that curse fall upon your head. Guys, I will repeat again. Politics is an art of a few organized people controlling a majority that is disorganized. Mimi nimeshikwa 13 times. I've been on the street for 2 years. Nikiitwa cloud chaser, joker, comedian. But finally I wake up and I see it's happening. Guys, tumepewa pena. Hata goalkeeper ametolewa. Tukihata tumehata. And I know Ruto's people are on this platform. Listen and listen to me carefully. You guys had an opportunity. And President Ruto still, junajua mko hapa ndani. You had an opportunity. You still have an opportunity. Tell President Ruto to fire his cabinet again tomorrow. Asingoje Tuesday. Fire all PSs. Fire all parastatal heads. Fire every single government official. And then maybe, perhaps maybe, that is the only way. Now, if the president attempts to do anything that we've had or seen before, akileta dialogue, alete committee, alete all platforms, the president knows what people are calling for. And this is not even about Ruto. This is about injustices that have existed since 1963. And Ruto is the last of his generation. The best he can do is try to forge a legacy. We have given him that opportunity. Fire your government, and the least you can do is call for, allow us to recall these MPs, Na wewe tutakutana wewe 2027 venye unasemanga, ama call for election. But hii direction ya kuthreaten, there are 53 million Kenyans, and we must realize this, against less than 2,000 government officials, from president to MC hawafiki hata 2,000, wakienda sana 2,500 against 53 million. Guys, this is Kenya's last best chance, and it will not come around again. It will not come around again. Let's take our opportunity. It is a God-given opportunity. It is a God-given opportunity. Na tutalia kwa chuo. Watasemanga, now they'll talk about that in the other countries and in history books. There was a time Kenyans almost changed the course of history. And I will repeat as I finish. What are we aiming at? Tukisha achieve, county government must go. Women reps must go. What is the work of 47 women reps who are earning from taxpayers' money if within the 2024 finance bill there was a clause taxing sanitary pads that was only discovered by Gen Zs and men, not even women? These 47 women could not come together and fight and rally. Kazi yao, they must go. Kazi ya women reps ni nini? Na hata hao MCAs. Hata hao MCAs. Even these MCAs, they will one day very soon explain to us kazi yao ni nini. Kazi yao ni nini. Nothing has been done with, since devolution. Only corruption and nepotism and tribalism. Hakuna kitu imefanyika. Rudi kwa provinces zetu na tuziite county, tukuwe na governors wa 8. And every person who will get into a government office beginning now must take a pay cut. Because I'm assuming those are not people we know. We are giving them an opportunity. Tunakupea opportunity, atukujui. You are fresh, whether you are Gen Z, ama we ni millennial. We are starting afresh. You will take a pay. Utachukua mshahara tumekuwapea. Will not be unfair. Haitakuwa very high, haitakuwa very low. We are starting afresh and we are fixing the nation. Guys, our root cause are vitu kama hizo nimewambia. Women reps, I'm very disappointed. I've been following very keenly. I know who blew the whistle on the pads. It was not a woman. It was not even a woman rep. They nominated the nyamus of this world. Wanafanya kazi gani? They are not accountable. Afadhali hao wengine wameelektiwa, wanaogopanga juu wanaona watarudi. Kura itaenda. Huyu mwingine ako nominated, ana serve nani? Constituencies wake ni nani? Ako accountable to nani? Hizo ni vitu za Moi. And finally, as I finish, kuna wakina Jomo Kenyatta, Oginga Odinga, Ochieng Aneko, Bildad Kagia, we know them. The first generation, they fought for this nation. And they gave us freedom from the white man. We had the second liberators. Sijui nawaita liberators. Hawa kina Martha Karua. Tunawajua, hawa walipigania. Akina multipartism. We must recognize that another one is happening now. Wakina Kenyatta waliachieve. Hawa kina Martha Karua walikuwa na kina Omingo Magara, sijui kina Orengo. They achieved multipartism. We must realize hii nyingine inafanyika. It is the last liberation of a nation. We celebrate Kenyatta and whoever he was with because of whatever they did. So guys, this is our last best chance. And it is not a Kenyan thing. This is an East African thing, it's an African thing. Asanteni sana, ndugu zangu.
Okay, thank you so much, Eric Omondi, for that submission. Masita Rus.
Thank you so much. I want to remind all of us that when we started all of this, we said we were leaderless, tribeless, partyless, fearless. And we are actually tribeless. You see, tribalism wants to derail the movement. Tribalism wants you to protect someone that does not want to protect you. Every time you hear our president, I want to put this across very clearly, that when the president is elected, he is the president of Kenya, not a governor of a county in Rift Valley. So there's nothing like our president and the president of Rift Valley. He is at work to serve Kenyans, all citizens of Kenya, the sovereign. Poverty is very high in the Mtuwetu counties. And it is high time that even when we go home, we go and educate our parents, we go and educate our grandparents, our cousins, our brothers, our sisters. Because this thing is not only about those people who are in towns, it's not only about the Gen Zs. These people are coming after the sectors that affect you as a person directly. That is the health sector, the education sector, the agriculture sector. When they take your seed sovereignty, when they take your food sovereignty away, you depend on them. Walisema finance bill ilikuwa rejected, but the appropriations bill went through, and we have seen the prices of things go up. Right now, we have seen the prices of seeds go up, seeds that were scarce during the planting season. They are now available, but they have gone up. We have seen the prices of fuel go up. And I know all of us are intelligent. So tunajua price ya fuel go up, everything else automatically goes up. Guys, we are tribeless. Refuse to be played with in the lines of ethnicity. And in fact, I want us to adapt this, that now we are tribe katiba. We are all about the Constitution of Kenya that recognizes us as the sovereign, and we shall underline that, as that man said. They want two things from us. They want us to give them a leader, and then they want us to give them a party. But leaderlessness is our strength. Guys, I will repeat. Leaderlessness is our strength. Tulimsikia akisema, wanasema wako leaderless. And you see, the thing that they want to do is give us a leader so that we can go after that leader, compromise them. Or if we don't go after that leader and compromise them, then we shall label this person as the person that is behind all of this. And then we tutamzungusha mpaka ajue who owns Kenya. But it is us actually, it is the Kenyan citizens who own Kenya. If you give them a political party, then they will come and say that, you see now, that political party, it is funded by anarchists, and they have not tired of that word anarchy, all the time, anarchy, reminding us. So if we give them a leader, if we give them a political party, tutakuwa tumewasaidia sana to create the 1982 situation, so that now they will sit down in their offices and tell us, guys, you see these people, they want to bring a coup. We are leaderless, we are partyless. If we give them these two things, they will forget about all the pertinent issues that we have raised and focus on that. And what are these pertinent issues that we have raised? Meritocracy, call for accountability, implementation of policies that favor Kenyans, and upholding the rule of law. My clarion call to everyone is, if you do not want to fight for the farmers, then fight because you are a consumer. You will consume these products. If you do not want to fight for the teachers, fight because you are a student. You are going to be a student, or you're going to have a child who is going to be a student. And so you need the education sector to work. If you do not want to fight for the doctors, then fight for your health.
because you are the one who will fall sick and you will need the doctors there to treat you. Guys, do not be derailed. This movement has stood the test of all of this, of partylessness and leaderlessness. It is not time to be derailed. It is time to focus. Focus. It is time to focus. And all of this, mind you, is all by design. It is all by design. There's nothing that is by mistake. Steve has said that there's something called the New World Order that is about to happen or will happen. Guys, it is not about to happen. It is happening. They have taken away the food sovereignty. Now they're taking away the healthcare system that was working. Now they want to make us remain illiterate so that they can control us. And then they will control the population. How? By keeping you sick, by feeding you food that is compromised. Then you will need them. If you look at the trend of this political class, what they are now investing in, you will notice that they are investing in the healthcare sector because they know that that is going to be the next cash cow, because you have been fed compromised food. Wake up. Focus. Focus, guys. Focus. Do not protect someone that does not want to protect you. Do not be lied to by tribalism that will make you say Mtuwetu, he's for us, he's for us. Meanwhile, they are looting, they are being corrupt, they are evading accountability, they are killing us in the streets, and it is not enough that they have killed us in the streets, now they want to kill us again in the long term by denying us food sovereignty, by giving us bad health care, by denying us education, by killing our future and the future of those kids that are coming up, and the future of those kids that we are yet to have. How are you going to have a kid in such a bad economy, in such a bad situation? Let us focus. The enemy is corruption. The enemy is oppression. The enemy is bad governance. We are not each other's enemies. We have to protect ourselves as the sovereign people of this country. We are the Kenyans for Kenya.
Can someone go ahead?
Yes, Edgar.
Okay.
Perhaps I
Um,
can. My name is Mahanu, and just to give my contribution, I was supposed to pick up from where Nelson had highlighted a few issues concerning the JKIA takeover case. I wouldn't want to belabor myself and go over the issues that he had already mentioned. But what people need to understand is that whereas we're being told that there's a company from India that has been contracted to upgrade and develop our national airport, what is really happening is a complete takeover. And I will summarize it very briefly so that everybody understands. What is happening right now is that a PIP model of renovating and developing the airport has been submitted and has been approved. Now, the reason why we have a PIP model on major projects that involve governments is because there is always that special need to exploit or to explore that option, because direct competitive bidding does not offer the options. That means you explore this option in a case of a uniqueness that is contained in. Now, the reason why I call it a takeover and not a leasing per se, as it has been painted, is because the funding of this project is going to cost about, when the proposal was put forth, they said that it's going to cost about 2.047 USD billion dollars. But after the evaluation committee, they reviewed that amount to
2.05 USD billion dollars, which means they increased the amount. But let me even shock you. Whereas they say that this is a public-private initiative, the whole project is being funded from the current revenue that is being earned by JKIA up to a tune of 53%. Now, they say that they are going to run the project for 30 years, after which they are supposed to hand over. You see, the model they're trying to paint is like that one that we've seen working with the expressway, whereby a private investor comes in, does an infrastructure or a project, manages it, recovers their initial capital, then hands over the project to the government. But what is happening here? This company is not putting even a single shilling into this company. And this is how they are doing it. 53% is being funded by the current revenue earned by JKIA. Then 33% is going to be funded by a loan which they want to take using the title deed of the land that is owned by JKIA. And then they're telling us that 14% is going to be funded by an investor. And we all know, I'm sure you can all understand that if someone in the Kenyan context talks of an investor, we know what that means. But more shocking is this. At the end of the process of the 30 years, when they have recovered their 2 billion, which they have allegedly invested at this point, they are supposed to be paid again 2 billion at the end of the 30 years. So which means they allegedly put in 2 billion, which in the real sense they never put it. And at the end of it, they're going to recover 2 billion US dollars in a span of 30 years. Then at the end of the 30 years, they will demand again to be paid 2 billion. So that's 4 billion US dollars. Then they will own a lifetime stake of 21%. So clearly you can see this is someone that is domiciled in this country trying to secure their financial freedom for their children and perhaps the fourth generations to come. So it is a very serious issue that everybody needs to keep on looking at it. We are compiling the petition, and by next week we should have filed the petition, and we'll keep on sharing and updating Kenyans the status of the petition. Obviously, by the look of the materials that have been placed before me, it is highly likely that the court is going to stop the whole process so that a complete audit can be done and Kenyans can understand. And so, Kenyans, this is just but one of the issues that is happening in one of the parastatos. So, as a way forward, we also need to start demanding for a cleanup of most of the state corporations in this country. And that's where actually the problem is, because government offers services to Kenyans through state corporations. Recently, I saw the cabinet secretaries being fired and then being rehired again. What we need to understand is that based on our constitution, most of these cabinet ministers, cabinet secretaries, much as they have a lot of power, as it can be seen from where we sit, the chief accounting officers of most ministries are permanent secretary, principal secretaries. Those are the people who control the budgets. Those are the people who run the ministries. So if you see a ministry failing or succeeding, it's because the principal secretary is either doing a good job or they're doing a bad job. So as Kenyans, we need to demand during this moment, much as we have long-term goals, we also need to ensure that we inject instant action that will deliver results for purposes of revamping public service. We need to demand that principal secretaries, they must be dismissed because they have failed the government. They have failed this presidency. We need to demand an overhaul of parastatal heads and chiefs, board members of parastatos, CEOs of parastatos, chairmen of parastatos. All these people belong to a group that is already rotten. And if we are doing a reset, we are resetting this country, these are the people that are supposed to go. Now, the other thing that I talked about, but I want to talk about it more today, we need to de-incentivize public service.
We need to decommercialize public service. This is what I mean by that. Every public servant, and this is something that we want to start demanding, and I need every Kenyan to understand. We need to ensure that if you are drawing salaries from any public coffers, you need to be put on a payroll. Whether you are an MP, whether you are a CS, whether you are a principal secretary, we need to demand that everybody be put on a payroll, on a job group. The job group will decide the amount of salary you draw. So you can be a CS, but you don't have a degree, you don't have a master's degree, you only have a class 8 certificate. You are paid a salary based on your academic qualifications. That is it. That is how we will start de-incentivizing public service, and we will end up with people who are dedicated and people who want to serve. Now, the other thing someone may ask me, if you are saying that people should be put in job groups and their credentials should determine how much they earn, don't you think these people are going to buy degrees and they are going to use it? Now, I was thinking about it, and based on my logic reasoning, we have some rules in the disciplined forces. In disciplined forces, the military, the police, if you are above the age of 30 years, you cannot join the disciplined forces. So, similarly, we need to ensure that we scrutinize the degrees and certificates that people bring for purposes of looking for opportunities. We should make it as a rule that if you are above, if you have a degree that you have acquired above the age of 30 years, that degree should be declared just a honorary degree. It should not be used to assist you to get an opportunity in government. Because chances are, these people who get degrees above the age of 30 years, they have gone around, they have engaged in corruptions, they have managed to buy their way out in schools, and they have bought degrees. So if you get a degree above the age of 30 years, that degree should just be a honorary. So that degrees that can only be used to secure good opportunities and job opportunities are those ones that are acquired below the age of 30. And for sure, automatically, the corrupt people, the people who have been interfering with systems, are going to be eliminated. We will end up creating a lot of opportunities. And by doing that, only people that are dedicated to serve Kenyans will be finding themselves in these spaces. People who think public service is a space to enrich themselves will not have it anymore. So, as I finish and as I conclude, what is the way forward? I have heard people saying that in the event the presidency is forced to resign, that means the president and the deputy president, we will run into anarchy. No, we will not run into anarchy because we have a constitution, and the constitution provides very clearly that in the absence of a president and the deputy president, then the speaker takes over for 6 months, for 60 days, that is 2 months, then an election has to be held. Now, others are saying that how are we going to have elections without the IBC chairman? That is wrong. We can still have elections. What we need is goodwill. Even in the absence of the commissioners, elections can still be had. Previously, we have had commissioners in offices, but we've seen the Bengal elections. So the mere fact that we have commissioners in the office does not guarantee that we are going to have a free and fair election. Elections can be had if we have good people in offices that have goodwill, that have got intent to deliver good results and transition for Kenyans. So we must start demanding these things, and we must have a strategy on the way forward. We need to action. We meet at the space, but we are doing very little in terms of actioning what we desire and what we are demanding. Talking too much and not putting pen on paper to action what we are saying will not get us far. We need to start occupying the SRC so that we demand that they review salaries of people based on job groups. Let everybody know that if you want to work in the public service, you are going to be paid on job group. If you are a CS and you have a class 8 certificate, you will be paid like that sweeper who is working in that ministry, not more than 20,000. That is the only way we'll be able to discourage these masqueraders and charlatans. Now, as regards the people who have been abducted, the people who are missing, we need to have comprehensive data.
from this space, I know we have capacity and we have ability to get information concerning people who are missing, so that as lawyers and those ones the lawyers that we are here together with LSK, we can start putting our heads together, trying to trace these people, and where necessary, we can get orders of habeas corpus compelling relevant institutions to produce these individuals or their bodies if they are suspected to be dead. So that is the that is what I would propose for now. And finally, as I conclude, this current parliament, this parliament that approved the finance bill, needs to go home. That is the only way we can reset and we can restart. In 2017 and 2018, the former Chief Justice Maraga advised the presidency to dissolve parliament at that time, because to date they have never implemented the two-thirds gender rule. In government, we have something called perpetuity, or governments operate in perpetual succession. That advisory is still on the table of the presidency, and this is a good time for him to implement that advisory by disbanding parliament, so that these people can seek fresh mandate, so that now we can do a fresh restart and start again. So thank you so much. Let us keep on engaging. Let us keep on pushing. Freedom is coming, and let us not be divided.
Okay.
Edgar, can I do?
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Makano, for that submission. So we are going to end the space in the next 4 minutes. So I'm going to let Willie Oeba take the space, or rather take the mic and give us a spoken word piece. But before that, the president today, excuse me.
Yeah, go on.
Yes, before
I
that,
requested this.
the president today did call the youth of this country formless. I have one message for the president, or rather Baba Charlene, as most of you call him. The youth of this country are formless because you have not provided a good environment for them to thrive. In terms of you failed to actually provide jobs for these young people. You are telling these young people that you are going to create employment, I don't know, in whatever country that you normally say whenever you stand on public podiums to speak. You call these people, you call these young men and women of this country formless because these young men and women are calling corruption in your administration. Your government is formless because you failed to deal with corruption. Your government is formless because you failed to bring the rogue police officers that go ahead and shoot peaceful protesters to book. Your government is formless because, we do not even trust you. So, calling the young people of this country formless because they are demanding accountability from your government, that is the biggest law that I've heard today. Thank you. Willie Oeba.
Thank you, Edgar, for the great submission. Tuesday tuna occupy CBD. So waambie hata waandike Nairobi in small letters, bado ni capital. Juu Kenya, mwenye natafuta kazi na kazi, kupata kazi ni kazi. Kuna wale wameandikwa kazi ya kufuta watu kazi, wa kupeana kazi ni illiterate, ndio maana bado hatujaandikwa. Chicken Cell amekuwa big fish. Kwa ofisi zenyu something is always cooking, but si mwananchi ana dish. It's high time tufungulie koti za maskini na tajiri juu kwa hii relationship. Wananchi ndio wabish. Justice is never served. Na mahakama ndio wapish. Kwa ballot box conversations zetu haziko candid kweli. Sisi voters ni mang'ombe, but how politician ndio mabandit. Justice system inajaribu kureverse roles. Sasa wanaita judge my lord, alafu God is my witness. Na Gladys anakuja kutuambia vile judiciary imefail. Same place she was boss. Surely. Na usiniulize mbona niko upset. Governor wa Nakuru wako kwa time yangu Twitter akiniambia vile poverty ni mindset. Hapa, the accused and a witness death ya witness before a witness against them. After corruption case double tragedy. Some of the commission inquiry ni employment opportunity for their corrupt families, useless bodies. Now the chief government pathologist is a pathological liar. If grabbing land is not enough, Yala River ndio kuna true water bodies. Other than finding ways za kututax, hakuna kile wanafanya kwa hizo maofisi. Hata the elephant in the room haina task. Na ni the executive iko na the lion's share. So dear Mr. President, during your reign, the youth were one bullet away from being a hashtag. Talk is cheap. Fortunately, citizens cannot buy that trash because wako $1 away from the poverty line na IBC ndio iko na price tag. Our moms wako one demolition away from kulala njaa tu kulala nje. Makanga ko always one police stop away from lose another finje. The middle class wako one disease away from poverty, and every level of governance is a step away from humility. There's nothing to smile about when I know I am one stray bullet away from being a statistic. Na degree ni makaratasi tu. Now to put food on my mama's table, I have to be sarcastic. Kenya, life ni short na hata uhitaji kinyasa. Na akaunti ya mwananchi ni empty kama promises za mwanasiasa. The president is talented in the art ya contempt of court. The law is very clear. His conscience is not. Dear Mr. President, wewe ulitafuta kura na ukapata. Sisi tulipata rais lakini bado hatuna uhuru. Na tuna feel useless unless tunapiga kura ama tunaenda kulipa ushuru. Kwa nchi mwananchi analipa standing charges kwa kila kitu ndo MP apate sitting allowance. Kwa nchi mayouth hawana kazi, wengi wamejiandika. Hii gavani kama mtu wako accused innocently juu haijafanya kazi na ni baada miaka 2. Viongozi tumeandika ndio wanatuambia tusome tujiandike. Hakuna kazi, wasanii ndio inabidi wameemploy gestures. Kwa nchi tunatumia mabilioni kupanda nyasi Nairobi na wasichana wetu wanawawa Middle East wakitafuta greener pastures. Kwa nchi university education imekuwa bure, hata servants wako na masters. Kwa nchi hata chief justice ana cry for justice. Hakuna mtu akoshua na hii katiba, ndio maana lawyers wana practice. Hii nchi inaweza kulia ndoto. Nikigrow nilikuwa na dream ya kuwa daktari, but now I'm just patient. Dear Mr. President, is it possible to commit suicide then uandike your own suicide note kama Sergeant Kenei? Na tukiaward Githeri man, tunakumbuka Major Seronei. Dear Mr. President, do you know the leaders of tomorrow are dying today? Ni guts tu hakuna, but everyone has something to say. Manifesto hope hazina, our mothers have resorted to pray. Na watoto wa CBC nani atawafunza hiyo A? Tumechoka. Even Rihanna doesn't want you to stay. Dear Mr. President, sasa tuko na deni ya kina Jet Li, tukuambie ukweli ama tukuache alone. Let's talk about morals. Tunaishi kwa nchi pia your deputy iko na mavice.
Mungu nguvu yetu. Amkeni ndugu zetu, tufanye sote bidii, nasi tujitoe kwa nguvu. Nchi yetu ya Kenya tunayoipenda, tuwe tayari kuilinda. Na tujenge taifa letu. Ndio wajibu wetu. Kenya istahili heshima.